The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Live tonight from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, LSRTV is happy to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Patriot Fire Qualifying Day for the 2017 American Bull Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association. The main event all goes down tomorrow afternoon, over $500 on the line, and that is the main event, which will begin coverage just a little bit past 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. But before we can head to the big race to close off 2017, we have to qualify those drivers into tomorrow's main event, and that's where we pick you up and say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to day one of 2 here at LSRTV and iRacing Live. It's going to be myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside with Rachel Whiteford and Trevin Valderrama over the course of the weekend, and as always, downstairs is the lovely and talented Cisco Scaramuza, twisted and tweaking at aisles, and to bring us to you this evening, Rachel, we have a full afternoon of racing on tap, so we're happy that everybody is with us on your home for sim racing as always, and it's going to get kicked off with 8 heat races, each with a little bit more. It's going to be varying between 7 or 8 cars per race at minimum, and we have 8 heat races to open up the afternoon. 2 transferees from each heat race get right into tomorrow's 350 lap main event. Later on as well, we're going to have 2 B main events, and then those ones, by the way, going to be 50 laps in distance, and then the last 4 drivers going to be able to get in by a 100 lap LCQ later on today. So roughly 4 to 5 hours of sim racing action for everybody, and we're excited that because we've had about a week off and we've enjoyed it a little bit, but happy to be back and get, I think, what may be our biggest event of the year in at the very last minute here on New Year's weekend.
Yeah, absolutely is, Evan, as always. And, well, short track racing is where the fun is. This is New Year's weekend. Well, there's definitely going to be fireworks this weekend.
We get it started off in these heat races, and as you saw in the event schedule, all of these heat races are going to be 25 laps in distance. Biggest thing to note is, as I noted, the top 2 drivers are going to advance into tomorrow's main event. Something else we should note, there are no cautions in these heat races either, Rachel, so it is going to be quite a critical balance between pushing that race car, because 2 out of 9 is not very good odds, but also keeping that car in one piece to be able to have a fighting chance at the end of 25 laps.
Yeah, certainly, and this is exactly the sort of thing you see with the likes of qualifying at Eldora as the cars stick to the grid here. You know, you got to keep it going. This is heat racing, and half the trouble is managing whether you get involved in one of those accidents or not. No cautions, no chances to have a second go.
And obviously everybody in these early heat races want to get into the top 2 and just head up and go home and get a lot of rest for tomorrow's main event. We're set, though, for a fantastic afternoon of racing. Let's go trackside and take a look at your starting grid for heat race number 1. Starting on a pole position for this one is going to be Matt Cucker. He takes home the $25 bonus for the fastest qualifying time of the weekend. He'll be joined on the front row by the 77 of Ryan Doucette. Christian Peterson starting this heat race in 3rd. Tyler Dalton is P4, and Jody Green rounds out your top 5.
Starting in the 6th place today on your grid will be Gareth Conrath, Tyler Jordan, Mark Humble, and Steve Wright, who is in 9th place.
Look top to bottom at your starting grid for heat race number 1. 9 drivers on track for this one. Cucker on a pole. His 14.641 was the best time overall in the qualifying session. As I noted, that netted him the $25 bonus, all the way down to Steve Wright at the bottom of the 15.5. So everybody in this field separated by less than a second in qualifying, which happened yesterday. Only 2 of them going to get a ticket into tomorrow's main event as we get Patriot Fire qualifying day underway from Las Vegas, looking for the green flag in heat race number 1.
Good start out front by Cocker as he gets a good inside line there. 77 held up on the high side. 23 will come on through.
23, Christian Peterson, he gets into P2, and that puts him in the temporary transfer position. So Cucker 1, Peterson 2, the top 2 spots as they come across the line for the first time. Now down the back straightaway, Ryan Doucette keeping Peterson honest, but the top 3 trying to pull a little bit as we see Jody Green as well go 5th to 4th, and Tyler Jordan picking up a couple of spots. Nice fight behind for P4 on back.
Yes, looking a bit busy, a little bit further back in your field, actually right towards the rear of this one, as these guys are really getting down and dirty. 29 and 9 there, 19 up on the high side, 47 behind them, looking for a gap too, as, well, this is the elbows out sort of racing we expect at this sort of track here, Evan, and well, the Bullring is like a baby version of Phoenix almost. It's got some really interesting racing, flatter corners, make this really, really fun. Very much a momentum track.
You can really cheat down on the inside of the racetrack there. There are those curbs that you can very clearly see in the corner, but they're not as rough as some other tracks, like Myrtle Beach, for example, something that the Championship Esports folks are very familiar with. So watch guys cheating down there a little bit, trying to help the cars rotate. There is a good amount of banking, but the corners do drive like they are very flat, and that's when you see those guys try to get the left sides down to just help those cars turn. Already quarter of the way through. Again, 25 laps in these heat races, no cautions. So if anybody were to have an issue, this thing's going to stay green and keep on going. So you do have to be on it out of the gate, and it's still Cucker 1 to Peterson 2, but that battle for second and third still very much on. Ryan Doucette right now about 2.5 car lengths out of that final transfer spot.
Yeah, he's getting into a good position really to fight for this one, but the curbs aren't going to be really a factor of until we get to the final races, which are longer, of course. Because 25 laps, the tires are going to be pretty much good for the entire thing. Once you get into the 100-lap races, we're looking at the end, that's when you'll really see people trying to use those curbs to help the car rotate, because it can really just help turn that thing a bit more left, you know? Get the thing rotating through the corner. It adds a little bit more friction there. So you'll see that in the longer races between these guys, but the qualifying races, it's pretty much a smooth run. You get that line right every single lap, you're in for a good position. It's exactly what Matt Cocker's doing up front.
Yeah, we'll see a little bit more of, drivers trying to work in that racetrack in the longer races today, those 50-lap B-mains later on this evening, and then, of course, the 100-lap LCQ, but especially tomorrow in the main event is when definitely conserving your tires and working with an ever-evolving racetrack will be much more prevalent, I would say, than we're seeing at the time being. Lap number 12 now in the works for the guys up front, starting to see a little bit more separation lap by lap between Matt Cucker and Christian Peterson. So the top 2 cars at the racetrack separating a little bit. Jody Green kind of a no man's land, a 13 Chevrolet comfortably in 4th. Unfortunately enough for him, that's just not enough to be able to get that ticket into the main event. He's got some time over Tyler Jordan and Gareth Conrath. I've been keeping an eye on those two. The 29 and the 9, probably one of the closer fights on track at the moment. They both got by Tyler Dalton a couple of laps ago, who's dropped 3 spots from the start.
Certainly is, and well, the 23 of Pedersen's being caught right now by the 23 and the 77. And they're getting a little bit closer at this one. It's going to make things a little bit more interesting. Actually, no, the top 3 are coming together actually here. So that's really bunching things up. This could be a little bit of a burnout early by the 69 car, perhaps.
Well, the interesting thing to note is, again, the way that we start this race, best time to qualifying at the top of the board, slowest time to qualifying down at the bottom. In theory, you don't expect to see much passing in these heat races. We've seen a surprising amount, though, as I noted. Jody Green's gone up a couple of spots. So has Jordan and Conrad. Tyler Dalton's gone the wrong direction. And we also saw Christian Peterson and Ryan Doucette swap out for second and third at the start, and they still run in that order, which has Peterson above the transfer line and Doucette below it, with laps beginning to slowly run out. But the reason I pointed out at the start of this thing, that first to 9th. It was only a separation of 9/10 of a second. Is, in all honesty, that's still pretty tight, especially when you're talking about a fight like for 2nd and 3rd. The difference between Doucette and Peterson was about half a tenth. So these guys up front very evenly matched. But that 77 to Doucette, I think, could have to pull something out of the hat. If he wants to get the free ticket to the main event, he's close enough to Peterson to make something happen if he so chooses to. 5 to go in Heat Race 1 next time.
It depends who really wants to get through on this one, because the 77 could qualify himself through if he puts the bumper to the 23 car just up ahead of them, but that's going to require some, yeah, this is short track racing. That sort of stuff goes, so 23 can get close enough to 69, he can take himself into first. 77, well, he can leverage himself into a secured spot if he is brave enough.
Well, and that's also going to be something that Christian Peterson has to make a decision on. Is he comfortable sitting in 2nd position, or does he want to get that 69 up and out of the way and use, Matt Cucker as a buffer if he feels like Ryan Doucette is going to be a threat coming off of the back end on his bumper? So we'll see how that plays out. Although they really got tightened up a couple of laps ago. Next time by 2 to go, a little bit more separation now.
Just a little bit. 69 and 23 staying close together. 77 has dropped back a little bit, but well, the gap behind them is 3.5 seconds back to Jody Green back there in the 4th spot in the 13 car. Not quite able to keep the distance behind them. Jordan and Conrath close together, but those positions aren't paying anything at all in this race. Right now the battle is those top 3, and who will be in the final 2?
Guys at the back are going to be headed to the B-Mains. Final time around the Bullring, though, as Christian Peterson closes to the back bumper a little bit. It was a nice late push by the driver, the number 23, but it is going to be Matt Cucker at a turn number 4, checkered flag, and he will win Heat Race number 1 from pole position. And Christian Peterson jumping up from 3rd to 2nd on the start of this race on the inside of the racetrack. He will take away that 2nd and final transfer spot from this heat race, and it'll kick a very fast Ryan Doucette down into the B-Main later on this afternoon. As Matt Cucker pulls it into victory lane, it is Cucker and Peterson advancing from Heat Race 1.
Good result there, of course, from drivers we expected to see that from Evan, but Pedersen was almost expected. We're going to see a lot of that where 3rd place will jump to 2nd at the start of these things, with the track being kind of flat. Passing around the outside, holding that line is a lot harder the further up the racetrack you go. And 2nd place really has to get an impressive start to be able to try and keep themselves up there, but wow, that's the kicks.
Take a look top to bottom at how they all came home at the end of Heat Race number 1. As you noted, Matt Cucker is your race winner, locking this one up to the tune of 0.2 of a second. Christian Peterson was very much there at the end of it. Made a little bit of a dive to 1 and 2. Wasn't able to get to the back bumper, but P2 was plenty. And Peterson as well will transfer into tomorrow's main event. Ryan Doucette comes home in 3rd for this one. Started in, finished out. He'll be in the B-Main later on this afternoon. So will everybody else. That includes Jody Green in the 13. The machine comes 4th. Tyler Jordan in P5.
P6 tonight is Gareth Conrath with Tyler Dalton, Mark Humble, and Steve Wright finishing where they started.
The look top to bottom at your Heat Race 1 results, and cars are going to begin to get staged for Heat Race number 2. I believe, though, we're going to see if we can get a word with Matt Cucker. Not going to have an opportunity to chat with everybody this evening, but I believe we have the driver of the 69 on the radio. Matt, you got us?
I got you.
Victory lane for you at LSRTV is no strange place. Congratulations on the Heat Race 1 win. Just tell us a little bit about the preparation for this event, and for some folks it's going to be a very long afternoon with B-Mains and LCQs to come. You guys are one and done.
Yeah, I mean, I had plans to go out tonight, and I knew if I didn't have a good Q run and then get into that first heat race, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I was practicing all day today. I think I started around 1 o'clock, and I was just running laps, trying to do everything I could in preparation for this heat race and the Q run earlier to be able to go away tonight. And it was a wild one.
A little bit of extra motivation never hurts. So obviously 2 completely different days. When we come back at this tomorrow for the main event, it is a long 350 lap race, a lot more of an endurance one, most definitely, than, you know, the little 25 lap sprint. Have you been balancing the practice as far as long runs and short runs, or had the objective been just up until tonight to just get into the main event, and you guys will kind of focus a little bit more on the race strategy maybe tomorrow?
Yeah, the main objective was to get into it, and in order to get into it, you have to go hard and go fast quickly. Like, you have to do it consistently and quickly, and I'm not known to do that. I usually save my tires, and today I was able to push the car and go quickly, and locked us in, which was the main goal.
You guys were also able to get the best time to practice, or rather in qualifying, I should say, out of anybody else with a 14.641, which means that in addition to obviously putting yourself in a good position for this heat race and having an opportunity to fight for the $500 grand prize tomorrow, you also get an extra $25 for the Kyle's Corner Pole Award. I'm sure that doesn't hurt.
Oh, no, I got to thank Kyle for putting that up. That's awesome. I didn't even know about that. So, hey, that ain't going to hurt at all. And hopefully tomorrow we can try and figure out how to last 350 laps and bring home the big check.
We let you take off and get prepped for that. We always appreciate the time. Matt, well, we got you. Nobody sponsors or shout out you want to say hi to?
Definitely got to thank Team Vincier, GlobalCom, iAnalyze, and I also have the TC memorabilia sticker on my car again, so I'll be running that all weekend. So thank you guys for broadcasting.
Look forward to a fun weekend of racing. That's your Heat 1 winner from the Bullring this afternoon. Matt Cucker. Matt, as always, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on this one, and best of luck tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, and thank you all the sponsors for the show we're putting on, too.
A lot of people that go in behind the scenes to make this happen. That is your Heat Race 1 winner, Matt Cucker. He is going to the main event, locked in. He and Christian Peterson, the first 2 names on the official draw. With that, we'll take this opportunity to step aside. Heat Race number 2 is getting set to go down on track. We will be right back to the Bullring when that gets here. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the battle at the Bullring. It's Patriot Fire Qualifying Day, and you're home for sim racing at iRacing Live. And welcome back live to the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway as Patriot Fire Qualifying Day continues. The American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association. The 350-lap main event is tomorrow, right here on LSRTV at our Racing Live, with coverage beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 8 heat races on the board for you this afternoon. That's just the start of our coverage today. Matt Cucker and Christian Peterson coming home 1-2 in heat race number 1, already into the main event, which means that, Rachel, we transfer over to heat race number 2, and it is going to be the same rules throughout the afternoon in these heat races. 25 laps and no cautions, and that last one didn't need any yellows anyhow, nice and clean from the start.
Yeah, it certainly was, of course. Nice simple race we had in the first heat and went exactly, hopefully, as planned. And, well, maybe that's testament for the rest of these heat races. I could see any other issues having some controversy as qualifying spots. It's so hard to come by in these things.
And Trevor, one thing we were talking about in Heat Race 1 is just how tight the times were in qualifying. So yes, the best qualifying time guys up front, that should give him an advantage. We saw plenty of passing in that last one, and no doubt expect to see the same for this.
Oh, absolutely. There's going to be a lot of hard battling. You know, there's not a lot of spots open for the big event. So these guys are going to be battling as hard as they can. It doesn't really matter about times until, you know, you get on the track. And, you know, the guy you saw last race, the guy who was starting on pole got the win. But there's also going to be a lot of passing. You know, they want to get into the show as quick as they can. They don't really want to go through the B mains or the LCQ. So there's going to be a lot of hard fighting throughout this one.
Not in cars, only 2 of them move on. Let's go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for heat race number 2. It is going to be Jimmy Mullis on a pole position with 14.650, second best time overall in yesterday's single car qualifying session, and he will bring us to the green flag in this one. It'll be Will Javicki rolling off alongside him on the front row in second. Justin Trombley is third, with Brad Carpenter in fourth, and Jean-Philippe Bergeron P5.
P6 goes to Lau Jewell, that's the machine number 5. P7 goes to Kenny Lowry. P8, James Carhula. And P9, Jason Day.
Looks out the bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. Pace car is going to duck off the way this time around, and we will get set to go green flag racing. The start was ever so critical, and it made the pass for the only transfer spot that was exchanged last race, when Peterson for the inside on row 2 was able to make a move up to the inside at the very start of that one. We will see if maybe that becomes a trend that follows along a couple of times this afternoon. Looking for the green flag as we come to turn number 4 to be pole sitter Jimmy Mullis. On the inside, clear to turn number 2. Watch the 34, though, challenging for second.
The 45 had a little bit of a mix-up there on the start. The 51 got into the back of them, then went up into the number 4 machine. All seems to be okay as Jimmy Mullis starts to pull away. 34 of Will Javicki pulls in second, then that's Justin Tromboli turning in second, but we have contact in the back. 45 into the 31. That's going to keep them green, though, because there's no cautions.
Carpenter and looks like as well Lowry, the 2 drivers who went around the 45, missed the corner by a lot and took out the 31 machine. We will stay green, though, obviously no cautions, and I believe that those drivers were able to get back over the relative time. The 31 machine stuck up alongside with the Jimmy Mullis for the time being. He's going to be able to get clear, and now Justin Trombley also going to be able to get by, and he is clear for the number 2 position. The 30 Will Javicki try to keep those guys up front on us. So is Jean-Philippe Bergeron in the number 4 position as well. But you're going to get a second look at that contact that took 2 drivers out of this thing at the get-go.
Yeah, that number 45 machine just went up right into the 31, got them both involved, and you know that's not really going to be the end of their day because they still have another chance, but it's going to be the end of their race, and they're just going to have to limp it around to make sure, you know, they stay out of the way. But it's a hard time.
Single filing, a lot more separation at the start of this second heat race than what we saw a little bit earlier on in that first one. You still definitely have groups of 2 cars here or there, but I think the biggest thing to note is there's a lot more separation, notably between second and 3rd position. That's already about a second between Trombley and Javicki. It's just a tad bit behind him as well. So I think that Mullis and Trombley in a much more comfortable position than the leaders from heat race number 1 were, and really have no reason to fight amongst themselves. The question that we posed in that first one was, does Christian Peterson try to make a move for the race lead? Yes, it would offer better starting spot for the main event tomorrow, but I think at 350 laps that wasn't as much of a concern. But the reason we questioned that, Trevor, is because in P2 Peterson had a lot of pressure from behind. Trombley's not really experiencing that at the moment, with about 9/10 at the moment up on Dravicki, so he has no reason to force the issue or even try to fight for the race lead. Just kind of sit P2, maintain that race car, stay out of trouble, and head to the main event if you stay where you sit right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be pressing for any lead because, you know, like you said, 350 laps. It's going to be a long one tomorrow, and you got 25 laps right now. Any slip up, as you saw with the number 45 and 31, Carpenter and Lowry, you know, it's going to be the end of your day, so you don't really want to press. If there's an open door, you're going to want to probably take it, you know, take it when it's given, but not really press because you don't want to get the leaders involved in an incident, open up the door for Will Dravicki or Bergeron back there. You know, we're just going to, you see him closing right now, but I don't think he's going to really press too hard to get to that race lead.
We'll see if he wants to maybe turn it up a notch, but at the moment he appears to be relatively comfortable running in second. And as we saw on the start, it was a little bit different, just considering the fact that this time around your control car, in this case Jimmy Mullis, did decide to start for the inside of the front row as opposed to, you know, making something work up on the outside of the racetrack like we saw last time. But just as Peterson did in Heat Race 1, Trombley took the inside of the racetrack, went up on the inside, and has kicked the P2 starter, Will Dravicki, who was outside of the front row, out of the transfer positions. And the gap's only growing between second and third as it tightens for first and second. Trombley closing in, and with a big enough gap that he may have enough comfortable of a gap behind him to maybe try to challenge the 40 for the race lead. He was right on the bumper of Mullis the last time by.
Again, I don't think he'll be making any crazy moves to get around him. Maybe he'll just keep his mirror full, keep some pressure on Mullis, and maybe force him into a mistake, maybe late exit, late entry. But I don't think he'll be doing any bump and runs because that could easily take them both out. You know, you have a strong gap over Dravicki, and you know, you're racing your own race here, and you only have 25 laps, and it's coming to a close, so don't really do anything crazy yet. He's going down low right now, maybe looking. That was dangerous right there, but, you know, you're just going to have to keep on pressing.
At the end of the day, the objective is to make it into tomorrow's, you know, American Pool Supply battle at the Bullring, but the guys definitely do want to have some fun in this one. They don't like to sit around and intentionally, per se, not try to win races. But I think this is also maybe a little bit of bragging rights because, you know, the way that the qualifying works, Mullis' second best qualifier ends up with Trombley, who, you know, just based on the way qualifying works, probably ended up with about the 10th best time yesterday. So, you know, Trombley is somebody who may be wanting to show the 40 machine that I'm going to be on you, not only today, but tomorrow as well.
Yeah, this really gives a foreshadowing into tomorrow's race. You know, if they get together, I'm sure he's going to be remembering this. The number 40 of Mullis is going to be remembering. You know, he likes taking these lines, or he likes getting the back, or something. You know, predicting what he's going to do tomorrow could really help him if it's a fight for the lead, because you know you have $500 on the line tomorrow. That's a lot for this. So you know you're going to have to be battling hard. You know.
This time by 2 to go. It is a 2.4 second advantage for the top two back to third position. Brad Carpenter, Kenny Lowry, the two drivers who were involved in that accident in the opening couple of laps, have fallen off to the lead lap. The other 7 cars are still all scored on the lead lap at the moment. And final time around for the driver of the number 40 machine, Jimmy Mullis. Down in turn number 2, the K1 speed entry is sure to walk away with this one. We saw it happen in Heat Race 1, and it'll happen again in Heat Race 2. From pole to checkers, Jimmy Mullis wins Heat Race number 2, and Justin Trombley, coming in P2, are headed to the main event.
Yeah, just as predicted, Trombley didn't really do anything crazy to get that win. He let Mullis have it. You know, it's only one position that you're going to be behind, and, you know, he made it into the event, so that's awesome for them, and the rest of the guys are going to have to press harder.
Take a look top to bottom at your full race results for this one. Jimmy Mullis coming home to a tune of just under 4/10 of a second over top of Justin Trombley. Those two drivers will join Matt Cucker and Christian Peterson in tomorrow's main event. On the front couple of rows behind them, Will Trevicki just a little bit shy in this one, comes third. He'll be towards the front in his B main. Later on this afternoon, Jean-Philippe Bergeron is in P4 and Lowell Jewell is P5.
James Krahula comes in P6. P7 goes to Jason Day. And P8 and 9 are the people who are involved in that incident. That's Brad Carpenter and Kenny Lowry.
Those drivers all have a long afternoon still ahead of them, but in the meantime, we look forward to heat race number 3. We'll take another opportunity to step aside, and when we come back, we'll punch 2 more tickets to tomorrow's $500 to win main event. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of Patriot Fire Qualifying Day. It's the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, and you're home for sim racing at LSRTV. Plenty still to come. And back live from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 4 drivers already headed to tomorrow afternoon. Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson from heat race number 1. Jimmy Mullis and Justin Trombley from heat race number 2. Therefore, heat race number 3 is up. As we welcome you back to LSRTV coverage of Patriot Fire Qualifying Day. Another set of looks like 8 drivers for this one, with only 2 of them being able to go home. Means 3/4 of the field still have a long afternoon ahead of them. And again, we've got 8 heat races on tap total for you. A little bit later on this afternoon, I guess into the evening at 8 o'clock Eastern is when we will start the B-main racing. So there may be a little bit of a break in between the heat races and the B-mains, but 8 o'clock will be the green flag for the first of 2 50-lap B-mains, immediately followed by a 100-lap LCQ. All of that is still to come. We're happy that you're with us. Evan Pasoko, Rachel White for Trevor Valderrama, Cisco Scaramuza with you, and Rachel. 2 down and still 6 to go. That race still a lot more spread out than we saw in the first one, but the trend remains the same. P2 doesn't appear to be a good place to start.
It doesn't. It's the outside lane. It's a tough one to get going. Like I said, the banking is just a bit shallow. It makes things very difficult.
And into this next session, and I don't think that because we had 9 cars in the first couple of ones, Trevor, and only 2 in this second one, or rather only 8 in this second one, that it's going to be that big of a difference. I think that the field dynamic is going to be just about the same.
Yeah, all the pressure's still going to be on. It's not going to change because of one car. You know, you're still fighting for $100 or $500 at the end of the day. These guys are all wanting to get into this main event. The competition's still going to be stiff, and it's just going to be a hard one to battle with all these guys.
Cars are on track. Let's see how they'll roll off. We go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid. Electing to start on the outside for this one is pole sitter, the number 17 machine, Michael Beamish. Down on the inside of the racetrack will start it all off. He'll be joined outside by the 62 of William Hale. Cody Griffin inside row 2, third position. Dwight Beverly will start fourth, and Matt Bontempi is P5.
P6 goes to Ken Morin Jr., P7 Sebastian Taylor, and P8 Caden Anderson.
Look at the bottom and how they roll off. Again, cannot stress this enough, that in a race this short at only 25 laps to start is ever so critical. We saw some drivers in that last one a little bit overzealous per se, and I know I mentioned in the first heat race you can kind of cheat that apron a little bit, not as much as we saw the two cars that got into an accident. So elbows up right from the get-go. If you want a shot at $500, it makes it a lot easier if you know you are in well ahead of time. So the pace car is going to drop down to the safety of pit road this time. Watch for the restart. These guys have to go on the green flag at the very end of the restart box, so they'll bring it very slow into turn 4.
Yeah, they certainly will, and the field lines up now for this one. 8 cars, 8 drivers that can win this thing, but we know the trend is P1 and P3 are the good spots. Who will be in that one? Can the 62 get a good start? Green flag fluent is a huge start by the 62. Look at that move.
And he's be starting this race at a P2 that has not been a fun place to be, so a start was critical. Hale is not going to clear Beamish, who fights back, but he should be able to get down to P2 now. Here comes the 3, Cody Griffin, fighting hard, side by side for the final transfer spot.
Cody Griffin.
Oh, crash behind. 37 round, nearly. Straightens up, though.
Caden Anderson will hang on, got tapping it on E2, no cautions obviously, we stay green, and the 3 machine Cody Griffin gonna win that fight for second. Hale back at him to the bumper, and now side by side again.
You can see the amount of pressure that each driver is under right here with the battle going on between Hale and Griffin. Now you see Hale just giving a little love tap, and that gets him out of the groove just enough for Hale to take advantage of him going into turn number 1. 3 now down on the apron. We'll see how that works. Now he's up in the wall. Griffin having all sorts of trouble. That'll open up the door from the number 5 of Matt Bontempi. So we'll see how he works out there too.
Maybe Griffin getting a little bit flustered there. He made the initial move with a little bit of contact. Hale paid it back to him. I think that maybe Cody Griffin feeling like he needed to get right back to him, and spinning his Bontempi at a 94 is around, and so is Ken Morin. Whole lot of trouble in turn 4.
Morin Jr. hits the 94 there of Bontempi. Bump and run. Backfires on him as he gets to go around as well. Karma just paid the price.
There was nowhere for the 01 to go. Dwight Beverly didn't go all the way around, but took a little bit of a shot to the front end, and that puts a big discrepancy as you take a second look at this one on the LSRTV replay. Big discrepancy between 3rd and 4th position, with Cody Griffin 4 seconds in front of Dwight Beverly, who runs in P4, which means that Griffin kind of the only driver who could challenge Beamish and or Hale, depending on if he could find a little bit more speed. Lost a little bit more than a 1/10 of a second that last time by. And again, that 3 machine Fluster did tag the wall. I don't necessarily think that contact's really hurting Cody Griffin. I just think he really pushed it hard on the very get-go of this thing. And because of that, that was kind of maybe his one and only opportunity, and it'll be difficult for him to come back from that big of a gap, especially on someone like William Hale.
Yeah, absolutely. With that incident that happened in the first few laps, it might be a little bit too much. You saw Griffin get into the wall hard, so we'll see how his car handles. It's not seeming to be looking too good. He's digging, though. He enters deep, so we'll see how much time he picks up after that. He scrapes it all a little bit, but you can see him just driving it in so hard, but that gives a bad exit for him as well. So we'll see how long it'll take for him to catch up to William Hale, and then see how he attacks him, or see if it's another little bump and run between them two. Looking to see a lot of bad blood between them.
Bontempi's race is done. He has brought that car behind the wall. Ken Morin Jr. is still in this thing. However, he is 2 laps down from the contact, and obviously everybody else that was involved in that losing a significant amount of time, as I noted, basically takes everybody but the top 3 out of this race. Should also note that yes, Bontempi is out of this race, but he was not deemed at fault. It was Ken Morin Jr. who was given the black flag from race control for contact with the number 94 machine. That's how Ken has dropped 2 laps. Just an update on the situation with those folks. So you see Beamish, the 17, that's your race leader. Then you see the 62 William Hale, P2 final transfer spot. The car behind him is Morin in the number 81 machine that is not for position. The 3 car next in line is actually 3rd on track, and that is for position.
It's interesting to see how Hale fought super hard from that 2nd place, nearly taking the lead on the first lap there with a mammoth start. And we said, Evan, 2nd place would need a huge start to maintain position. He nearly passed 1st, but he fought back against Cody Griffin, and while he secured that position, it's the first time so far we've seen someone regain the 2nd spot.
Seeing if there's any, one more ball to drop in this race. 18 laps going to be complete this time by Beamish, a little bit over a second. Will Hale P2, and then Cody Griffin continues to lose time. And again, the damage may have a small part in it. Maybe the 81's a factor, kind of throwing him off, but I think Griffin really drove it hard, and it looked like it worked. Will Hale got back to his inside and just kind of paid it right back to him, and I think it was a valiant effort. If as they run holds as the result, it would be the first time that we have no changes for position 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those drivers still run exactly as they started.
Yeah, absolutely. The top 4 are still all in the same spot, and if Griffin wants a chance at Hale, he's going to have to get past the number 81 of Morin Jr., but I don't think he's got the car to do it. A little bent up sheet metal is okay, but taking a lick that hard on the backstretch in the first opening laps, it's going to be hard to battle back after that one. But with Beamish running away and having about a 2-second lead over them, or excuse me, a 3-second lead over Griffin, I don't think he's going to be able to get back to it, especially with the car in the way of 2nd and 3rd. So he'll have to settle for most likely the LCQ, but anything can happen here at a short track.
Especially with, a couple of damaged cars working around the racetrack, you never know what may be ahead of you and maybe line around the corner. Beamish is starting to catch up to some of the lap traffic. Don't think that it's going to really be a factor, but again, even if he did get up to them enough of an advantage, he could just kind of roll a little bit out of the gas and maintain a safe distance. He's got plenty of room as he heads down the back straightaway for the final time. 3 for 3 for the pole sitters. Michael Beamish, the commented turn number 4. He'll take the checkered flag and win heat race number 3.
Fantastic run there from Beamish, doing exactly what he needed to do there. Well, another win from the pole. This is looking like a trend.
Almost like, a little bit of method to that madness for putting down some fast times, which translates to 2 fast race cars. So, Michael Beamish is your race winner. We'll take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for heat race number 3. It is Michael Beamish with the win from pole. He is headed to tomorrow's battle at the Bullring, and William Hale, who comes home in 2nd position, will transfer as well. Those are 2 drivers moving on. From this point on, it is the B mains for everybody else. That includes Cody Griffin in P3, Dwight Beverly 4th, and Caden Anderson in 5th.
P6 goes to Sebastian Taylor. P7, Ken Morin Jr., and P8 involved in that incident, Matt Bontempi.
A look at your full race results for heat race number 3. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside once more and head more cars down trackside. You're watching Patriot Fire Qualifying Day for LSRTV's coverage of the American Bull Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association on iRacing Live.
racing. You wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Back live from Las Vegas at the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway as the Patriot Fire qualifying day continues. Heat race number 4 on tap. We're happy that you're with us on LSRTV. Your hope for sim racing so far: Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, Jimmy Mullis, Justin Trombley, Michael Beamish, and William Hale. And punch their tickets into tomorrow's $500 to win 350 lap main event. Our drivers going to join them as they get set to get halfway through our heat races. If you're just tuning in with us now, all these heat races, 8 of them in total. This is heat race number 4 of 8. Coming up next, 25 laps in distance and no cautions. Only really been a factor in the second heat race of the afternoon, in which we saw a couple of cars meet in 3 and 4. Some extracurricular activity. Other than that, pretty much clean and green. The pole sitter has won all 3 so far, Rachel, and I would expect that trend to probably continue, if not for the rest of these heat races, at least for the majority of them. And yes, it is a true point when I say that the intervals are pretty tight, and these are fairly evenly matched lineups, but I do think there may be a little bit more of a separation between, say, P1 and 2 than it would be, 2 to 3 and 3 to 4. So I think the leader, as long as they get a good start, has, a pretty big upper hand, and they earned that advantage, I guess you could say, by having that good run in the single car qualifying, which took place yesterday.
Well, in this instance, qualifying is everything, Evan. Of course, you haven't got enough of a run here for these tires. These tires, of course, this isn't cup tires, These tires run a lot longer. This 25 lap stint is not long enough for tire deck to become an actual issue here. This is 25 laps of hard to the wall, foot to the floor racing, and these guys are going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, by racing their way to the front. And when you've got a grid based on qualifying times, it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to be looking at a fairly similar result each time.
If you're starting 4th or the back in this one, numbers don't look good for you. Only transferees have come from the top 3 starting positions the first 3 heat races of the afternoon. That being said, let's go trackside, rack them and stack them, and take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. So it's going to be Dawson Fletcher on a pole position for this one, and he will be accompanied on the front row by the 42 of Garrett Huffins. You've also got Tommy Ryan in 3rd in a position to be able to strike in that number 6 Chevrolet. Outside of him, Andrew Wooten is P4, and Nick Silver rounds out your top 5.
P6 goes to the number 29 of Hunter Wright. P7, Matt Osdeek. P8 goes to Billy Tungate. P9, Derek Gletcher.
That's a look top to bottom at your starting grid. 2 laps of pacing here from Las Vegas, so plenty of opportunities to be able to get themselves around and kind of get warmed up. You see some drivers going side to side, trying to get some heat into those tires. Very short race, trying to conserve, tires and maybe waiting for the lines to get rubbered in is hardly a factor in these. Did be honest with you and said that we might see a little bit of that in the B-mains and the LCQ a little bit later on this evening. As it sits at the moment, objective is just a straight shot for 25 laps. The pace car is going to go down and in. Can somebody from outside of the top 3 crack it open and maybe surprise us? Green flag, gonna fly, and it's the outside, almost a little bit of a better jump. It is going to be Fletcher, though, at the line. Everybody tight, the top 6 to turn 1, and a very bad corner for Huffins. He'll go from 2nd to 5th.
And contact there from the 29 behind him here as we get a really jumbled up start.
All the way to the back now, P2 is Tommy Ryan from third. Nick Silver, though, he made big moves. He went fifth to third. Andrew Wooten is exactly where he started in P4, and then it continues to fall apart for Garrett Huffins, who had such a good time in qualifying yesterday. Just missed turn 1 and probably missed turns 3 and 4 that lap as well. He's already P7.
That might be a trend tonight. You know, you get a bad first turn or one of those turns and it just ruins your whole entire race, so we're going to have to watch out for that. Tommy Ryan took advantage of that, as well as Nick Silver. So they're all close together. The fight for P2 is, we'll call it the 4-car battle, and it's just going to be an interesting fight all throughout these next 20 laps.
The way they run now, still very much a fight in this race, because Fletcher's only working about 4 or 5 tenths of a second in front, P1 and 2, and then you've got the 6 of Tommy Ryan right there in the number 2 position, hotly contested by Silver. Nobody outside of the top 3 has punched their way into the main event so far this afternoon. Silver started 5th and is 1 spot away from being the first driver to do so. But Tommy Ryan, somebody who we are very familiar with, would see it on the short tracks with the CEA guys, typically on Wednesday evenings, but oftentimes, you know, in these late models with the Cars Esports events and such, is so consistent. And when you have 25 laps driven, it's a pretty small sample size. You're not likely to get a mistake out of a veteran driver in that little amount of time. Now, tomorrow, 350 laps, you'll probably get somebody slipping up at some point. But in this one, I think drivers can be a lot more locked in because it's a little bit of a shorter race. They can kind of keep that focus a little bit more intently.
Yeah, the 25-lap heat races are going to be a big factor at this. Oh, a little bump from Silver to Ryan, so we'll be looking for more of that. You know, again, you're saying, you know, it's not a lot of time, so drivers might not get a lot of tunnel vision going on, so he'll stay nose to the grindstone the whole entire race. So the only way is to knock him out of place or keep his mirror full and maybe force him into a mistake. So we'll see how that goes.
24 is on the back bumper of the 6 of Ryan at the moment, and I think that Ryan's feeling the pressure. Again, this goes back to when we were talking about Peterson in race 1. You know, you might like where you are now for, you know, Silver in a pretty comfortable position, still with more than half of this race to go to be able to set something up on the 6, but if he sits there for much longer, it might be Derek Luchacki behind him, you know, who's the guy putting the pressure on him, and you can see the double O. Look at the left rear quarter panel of the 24 machine. So that might be why Nick Silver's got a little bit more of intensity and try to get something done sooner than later.
Yeah, you can also see fighting for that 3rd place position, the double O of Luchak goes underneath Silver, so that double O gonna make his presence known. So Derek gonna pass Silver for that 3rd position, now setting his sights on Tommy Ryan.
If you get a pass and the 24 is like, well, at least get up there and do something with it. He would hate to lose 3rd just for nothing to happen. If Silver's able to get back to the back bumper of Luchacki, then maybe fighting him back. But the more they're fighting for 3rd, the less time they are fighting either of them, trying to get into the top 2 transfer positions. So we'll see as 2nd and 3rd position gets tighter. Tommy Ryan is seeing the double O of Luchacki getting a little bit bigger in the rear view mirror every single time by. But there is no doubt that that move for P2, or rather for P3 and 4, I should say, definitely costs both those drivers some time. Ryan right now with the biggest lead he's had on the car behind him all race, and that's only 3 car lengths, but it's better than about the 1 car length advantage it was before.
Yeah, you can also see the number 24 just keep on fighting also. You can see that tight 3-car battle for P2. Luchacki just getting up to that back bumper of Ryan every single time. He's falling back a little bit there, maybe setting something up. So Ryan gonna have to, you know, maybe if he's getting closer, find a different line or stay closer to that white line as well. But Dawson Fletcher just has a good open air in front of him, and he's liking to see all that battling going on behind him, because that just gives him more time to just pull away.
In the top 4, really all in one big group. I mean, Dawson Fletcher's not really clear of all of this. I think he has an upper hand in which, you know, Tommy Ryan's not necessarily on his bumper, which is good, because if the 6 was on him, the 6 could go to make a move, then you're in an issue. So yes, this has been, top to bottom, the most competitive heat race of the evening. The top 4 still all scored within 1 second of each other at the moment on the racetrack. All of that being considered, though, I think the 71's safe. Tommy Ryan still very much in the danger zone, coming this time to 3 to go.
Gluchacki bought himself all the way up from 9th position, so that if he makes a pass, this will be the furthest back that we've seen transfer into the main event. You see him now side by side with Ryan going down below. Gluchacki's got a nose in front. Let's see if he can keep it going, getting a little bit loose.
Oh, contact!
Ryan into the wall, comes down into Gluchacki. Gluchacki able to stay facing forward, but Tommy Ryan made a mistake. Maybe 25 laps is enough, Evan.
And the 6 he did not lift at all, and that car was sideways. At turn number 2, did everything he could to not roll out of the throttle. And Derek Gluchacki is happy that his car is not on the hook after that. He's not in the clear yet, though. Final time from the Bullring. It's going to be Dawson Fletcher comfortably setting off to the heat race number 4 win. And one last challenge going to come up short for silver, and Gluchacki, first driver from outside of the top 3. Not just that, from the back to the front, from P9 to 2nd in the most impressive run we've seen tonight, gets himself on the grid for tomorrow afternoon.
Impressive run is an understatement. That was a great run all the way from the back. He made some great passes. He knew where he had to be, and he just made it happen, especially with that last pass with a couple laps to go.
The driver's going to be headed down pit road. Let's take a look at your LSRTV full race results. For heat race number 4, it is going to be Dawson Fletcher from pole position and keeping the trend alive. It would be the 4th consecutive driver to go from pole to checkers, and Fletcher takes the win at heat race number 4. But Derek Gluchacki is the impressive one in this one. Starts in 9th spot, works his way all the way up to P2. He's also headed to the main event. Those are the top 2 transfers. So everybody else headed to the B mains. That's 3rd place, Nick Silver, as well P4 for Garrett Huffins and Andrew Wooten in 5th.
P6 goes to Tommy Ryan. That was the guy who was involved in that incident with a few laps to go. P7 goes to Hunter Wright. P8, Matt Ostick. P9 goes to Billy Tungate.
Everybody top to bottom for heat race number 4, and we are halfway through our heat races this evening, which also means we are about quarter distance total through all of the racing this afternoon. We do have 4, or rather, I guess I should say we have 8 25-lap heat races total, 4 of them still to come. We have 2 50-lap B mains a little bit later on, followed by a 100-lap LCQ. So halfway through the heat races, Trevor, the pole sitters are 4 for 4. So they have, I think, been doing what we probably expected them to do, and I don't think there's much of a surprise really in that one, that they have maintained strong, and I think there's probably a good chance that we see that trend continue throughout the second half of our heats.
Yeah, and you know, these guys are just going to keep on battling hard all night long. You know, obviously that first place position is where you want to be, and you know, you're just going to keep on seeing these guys battle hard. You were saying 25 laps isn't really enough to make a mistake. Well, we saw Tommy Ryan, you know, get a little slip up right there, so we're going to have to watch for that. Even if you're back in the pack, your race is not over yet. We saw the 9th place position come all the way to 2nd. Gluchacki made a great run right there, so he is into the main event tomorrow, and that could happen for somebody else.
Hopefully that's what everybody else is saying, you know, kind of coming into this one. I'm not sure if it was like a demoralizing thing, but people were saying, man, you really got to get a good starting position. Well, Gluchacki had a little bit of help, yes. Some guys in front of him got into each other, but at the end of the day, it is, you know, you control your own destiny, per se, and exactly how he was able to work his way into this one. And as we get set to go for heat race number 5, again, 4 heat races still to come, 2 B mains at an LCQ. B mains might be going green a little bit earlier than previously noted at 8 o'clock Eastern. We will let you know, and obviously we're not going anywhere for the whole time, so if you just keep yourself locked here, You aren't going to miss any bit of the action. But again, all of this is leading up to tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 in the afternoon for those on the West Coast like myself. It is the Battle at the Bullring, presented by American Pool Supply and the Championship Esports Association. It is 350 laps here, and there is a lot of money to be handed out. $500 to win tomorrow, $250 for second, $150 for third, $100 for fourth. It is a $75 prize for fifth. P6 through 10 all get $50. 11th through 15th get 30. 16th through 20th get 25. And everybody else, even if you're not in the top 20s, you get at least $20 back. By far and large, the biggest short track race on the iRacing service of 2017, and it comes in quite literally trying the last 2 days of the season, so not much more time, I guess, to squeak this one in, but there's a lot that these guys are fighting for, and again, always fun when we get to have short track racing in general, but big events like this, and you know, for those who tuned in with us, I'm sure people are picking out names that they're familiar with, and there's names that I recognize on a more regular basis, names that, you know, maybe I haven't seen in a whole while that are in this race here this afternoon, and a lot of fun when everybody can get together, and we're getting set to go green for another 25.
Yeah, this is a fantastic way to, you know, have a fun time, but also benefit from it as well. You know, these guys are just looking for a last race for the 2017 side of things. So, you know, it's nice that these guys put this event on, you know, get everybody together, get names from near and far to come visit this event. So I like it, and we'll go on to the next one.
And cars are already sitting down in the pit lane for that next heat race. We will join up with them and take a look at your running order in just a moment when we get there. This one is going to be another 9-car field, so pretty much on par with you know, what we could expect. And you know, not that Heat Race 4 surprised me the way it worked out, but I think we kind of committed that thinking, okay, the top 3 guys are going to fight amongst it, and, you know, we might see it upset. Now I think you have to look at this as it's a much more wide-open field with a guy coming from the back to the front last time.
Yeah, this gives me a whole entire different perspective on how this race is going to go down. I was just thinking, you know, top 3, you know, you have a great starting spot, maybe even the top 4, you know, 2 rows, you get a great starting spot. But, you know, with all those incidents that happened, anything can happen at a short track, right?
And we expect that to be the case. Let's take a look at the cars roll as your LSRTV starting grid. It is going to be Rafe Slate on a pole position for this one, joined by Eric Spencer, who rolls, Jacob Harberts, who rolls off in second. Jerry Adams is going to be third for this one. It is Tyler DiVenzano in fourth, and AJ Rogers P5.
P6 goes to Eric Spencer. P7 goes to Jackson Lewis. P8, Craig Hawkins. And P9, Jeff Go.
Look top to bottom at your starting grid. Pace car to dive down. And again, these drivers have been sitting in this session ready to go for some time, but I would not at all be surprised if they've been kind of keeping an eye on what has been happening to this point. Oh, the guy in 9th position, Jeff Go, why not? You know, for the back to the front 8 cars, getting set to go green flag racing. It's heat race number 5 of the afternoon, and it is pole sitter Rafe Slate, first one to collect the green flag as we go underway. Harper's uncontested for P2. The 89 going to try to get a nose to the inside. Could be a big fight for second if Adams can get in there, and he does.
You see the contact between the 7 and 27. 27 of Tyler, able to keep it going straight, so we'll have to look back up to the front between Harberts and Adams. Good battling going on. Adams able to get below him. Now 80 of...
Oh, there he goes!
Off the number 17 of Rogers, and Rogers not able to go anywhere. Puts him into the fence, but that's going to be the end of that guy's night, and it's tough break.
Jacob Harberts in second position. You'll get a look at the replay. Gets passed by Jeremy Adams, and he goes to cross him over, but I think he's paying too much attention in front of him, not enough attention behind him, and he just cuts off the 17 of AJ Rogers on the straightaway, and then comes back up on the 17 and is disposed of into the inside wall. And Harberts has a fast car, but he is going to have an abysmal starting position for the B-Mains later on today, and Now, all of a sudden, maybe his hopes of just getting into the race in the first place put in jeopardy after, I'm sure, coming into this, scored a P2, and the times for this group specifically, I'm sure, was pretty comfortable about 10 minutes ago. So Slate is still your race leader. It's Jeremy Adams, who did take away that second position. He still runs there at the moment. Jackson Lewis, though, is now running up in third position after being able to get around that 17 of Rogers and now the 27 of Tyler DiVincenzo rather. He's also been able to just pick up a spot now back to P4.
Yeah, and now you have a good fight between the 89 of Jeremy Adams and Rafe Slate, but I think we're going to be seeing what we saw at that second heat. You know, they're just going to hang back, not really do anything. You have a comfortable gap between the the 89 of Adams and the 7 of Lewis, but you never know what could happen. He's coming all the way from 7th grid place, and we saw someone come back from 9th. So, you know, maybe you want to, maybe after that race, you might want to, you know, start pressing a little bit harder, but not harder to the fact that you're gonna maybe take both of you out. So it's a balance that you have to keep throughout the goings of this race.
The battle for the race lead is very much on. It is a 1.3 second gap from these two back to Jackson Lewis, who is at the moment the first driver on the outside looking in. That hasn't deterred the 89 of Jeremy Adams at all, although to be fair, he's not, you know, hitting the back with the 8 machine and running him over, but he's definitely closed in the last couple of laps with plenty of time to, if he really wanted to, and I think with a big enough gap, if the situation allowed it, to kind of set up Slate and make a move. Again, this will affect starting position for tomorrow, so there isn't zero incentive to battle for the race lead and, you know, get first instead of second. But obviously the consequence for something going wrong, I think oftentimes it outweighs that possible reward, and that's why a lot of times guys are just content with taking that advancing position and just kind of worrying about what happens in the race come tomorrow when it starts.
Yeah, absolutely, and you still see Adams coming closer to Slate, so we'll see how this battles out. You see just so close to each other, and it's just getting closer and closer. Now the number 8 of Slate messes up. That's going to open up the door to Adams, and now Adams takes that first place position. That's going to be important to him throughout the race tomorrow, but that's going to help him out also with having a clear track ahead of him and being able to set sight and keep Slate behind him. That was a critical error by Rafe Slate, and let's hope that Lewis does not capitalize on that error.
And we will see if anything else happens from that. The 8 machine is trying to get back at Adams for the race lead. He'll go to the inside, and they'll go side by side again. It was Slade who made the mistake, though, all on his own. When he came up to turn number 4, got sideways, kissed the fence. Could have been a lot worse. And you can see the damage on the right-hand side, but he's going to go right back to the front. And I think Jeremy Adams really didn't want to kind of mess with that. The 8 machine aggressively got to his inside, Trev, and the 89 machine just kind of backed out of it and said, all right, you know what, if you want it that bad, you can take it. I think Adams trying to stay out of trouble, whereas that 8 of Rafe Slate kind of upset with himself and the mistake that he made and wanting to get back up front where he feels he belongs.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just going to be hard fighting all night long, so we'll have to keep a look on that. And the more they battle, the easier it's going to be for DiVincenzo to be able to come up and pull up next to them and say, hey, I'm here too, I want to battle for a race lead, but you only got 5 laps to get it done, so let's see how that works out.
Yeah, DiVincenzo passed up Jackson Lewis a couple of laps ago when we were kind of following the excitement up front, so he's up to a race high P3. It does drop Jackson Lewis back a spot. He's still +3 though overall on the night. Impressive run for the driver of the number 7 machine who started this heat race in P7. Got underway now 22 laps ago, and he's still fighting with the likes of A.J. Rogers and Jeff Go. They're running out of time to do it, though. 3 to go this time by.
And we just see Jeremy Adams get to the back bumper, maybe force another mistake. I don't think he's going to want to tap him too hard, because, again, it'll take them both out, and with this many less laps left, you don't want to do that, especially with DiVincenzo right there behind them. So we'll have to keep on watching, see if he forces an error or something. But I don't believe that this is how it's gonna work out. And look, first place is in first place right now. So
Pole sitter is indeed still up in front, and he's got less than half a mile to be able to lock it up for him. Rafe Slade made a mistake, looked like he had lost it, but a determined effort to get back up and around. Jeremy Adams is going to have him the first car home. He'll come into turn number 4, checkered flag, and Rafe Slade is your heat race number 5 winner tonight from Las Vegas.
Yeah, that was a great hard charging between the top 2 right there. Had a little bit of an incident on that first or second lap, and then it was just set sail from there, and then a little slip up from Slate, and then able to get it back. Great racing all around.
Take a look top to bottom at your complete race results for this one. And take a look at your LSRTV full race results. It is Rafe Slade who once again goes from pole to checker. We've seen it in all 5 heat races so far. The pole sitter get into the main event tomorrow. Slade takes the checkered flag, just a bit over 2/10 in front of Jeremy Adams, who I still think probably could have fought back, thought better of it. He will take P2. It does the same thing, and it is Jeremy Adams, your second driver, advancing to tomorrow's main event. The drivers that still have to race more this afternoon, Tyler DiVincenzo is also going to have to go to the B-main. He comes home in 3rd position along with Jackson Lewis 4th and AJ Rogers in 5th.
Jeff Glow finishes 6th. Finishing 7, Craig Hopkins. P8 goes to Eric Spencer, and P9, Jacob Arberts.
We'll take another opportunity to step aside. 3 heat races still to come. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring. It is Patriot Fire Qualifying Day at LSRTV. Or to come from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway when we get back. And welcome back live to the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, continuing coverage of Patriot Fire Qualifying Day at LSRTV is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on top of a pit box, or from the spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself the basic download of the full pro version today by logging on to joel-real-timing.com for more information. Continuing on into heat race number 6 on the evening. Just about have all of our main transfers complete, Rachel, and we get set for another one as things have gotten a lot interesting in these last two.
Yeah, they certainly have, Evan. The races have definitely become a bit more controversial. Guys realizing they can come from further back and they can have an influence in this thing. We've got some of the fast guys out of the way. The groupings are a lot closer now, makes it much more exciting.
We expect to see another good one in this one. Race late, Jeremy Adams, the advancers from that last heat race. They joined Derek Kuchaki, Dawson Fletcher, Will Hale, Michael Beamish, Justin Trombley, Jimmy Willis, Christian Peterson, and Matt Cucker as the drivers who are already locked in to tomorrow's $500 to win main event. So let's take a look, though. Head down trackside at your LSRTV starting grid for heat race 6 as the field rolls. It is going to be Zach Braun on a pole position. He will be joined by the 42 of Jason Galvin. Garrett Strakota starts third position. It is going to be Tristan Lessick in 4th and Aaron Leffem in P5.
P6 goes to Randy Yoakum. P7 Jeremy Watkins. P8 Tony Boyd. P9 Justin Egan. And P10 rounding out your field, Justin Grosser.
That's a look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. 25 laps once more, and we have seen guys get a lot more aggressive. And again, I'm not sure if it's later on in the groups of the heat races, and they feel like that they're getting a little bit desperate. If you think things are getting a little bit dicey down, just wait till a little bit later on when we get to the B mains and the LCQs. But in the meantime, we will see what happens in this one as the cars get set to go green. Everybody except Randy Yoakum makes it to the start of this one. They're going to be chasing to 30 as Zach Braun at a turn number 4. Green flag flies, but a good start for Jason Galvin. Needs to make something happen so he doesn't get stuck up topside. He might be. The 77 of Sheena Strakota from 3rd to 2nd, and the 42 is not clear yet. Now maybe finally finds a spot. P3.
One I got my eye on right now, Evan, is the 97 here of Aaron Lapham. He's moving around a fair bit here. He just gives a bit of a tap there to the 32. Tries to get his nose underneath him. Not going to be there yet, but he's looking hungry so far. Look to him to make his way further forwards. 77 just cannot get hold of Brown.
Trying to obviously be able to work his way up the field. Lapham started 5th, still runs into the number 5 spot, but is progressively on the 32 of Lessick. Lessick got some left front damage in the open laps of that one. Jason Galvin is still 3rd. And again, Strakota just kind of luck of the draw. You end up 3rd position on the start, puts you on the inside. And what we can see, it was arguably a better restart for Galvin than Zach Braun. He actually beat him to turn 1, but there's just so little you can do topside.
Yeah, absolutely, and you want to stay close to the line and close to that apron. You're rarely going to see someone pass or try to pass someone on that outside. You're going to want to go as low as you can to the bottom, and it's just going to be harder and harder with if you keep on doing that. I know we weren't really talking about tires, but maybe if you keep on doing that, maybe your tire will start to deteriorate a little bit more rather than what somebody else would be running a little bit higher up. But still, 25 laps, I don't think it would matter that much. But you're still going to be fighting so hard, and Strakota is trying so hard to get to Braun, but it just keeps on further falling away from him a little bit.
Very true that, you can't really sit around and wait for this race to come to you. The 4, Randy Yoakum, is on track. He stops on, and there's contact. 3 wide back in the pack. The 4 got on track, got into Lessick, and the 32 got sideways. Everybody back there hangs on. Almost a big incident on the back straightaway. Back to the point is, especially for Galvin, if you can't capitalize right off of the get-go, you don't want to be coming from behind. It's not going to get any easier from this point on, and yes, he's still there, but getting around Strakota, never an easy task.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a bit wider here, and, well, it's getting interesting. The 77's doing his best, but 42 looks hungry. 32's dropped back, and there's a bit of bumping going on further back. That was Egan and Grosser. But the lead groups here just doing their thing at the moment. It's looking like a fairly early one of our races where the leader gets a good gap and second and third fight each other rather than going after that 30.
And Braun, I think, is a really big thing for him is to keep pushing. I know he's in the front, but he really needs to get away from Strakota because the 77 is going to get a little bit more and more nervous the longer that 42 is in his rearview mirror. That time right on the bumper. So if Braun isn't within striking distance, Strakota's going to try to make a play for P1 to get away from this guy because Galvin's hitting him in the back bumper. Braun's doing a good job of separating himself and keeping it a fight for just second and third as opposed to first, second, and third.
The number 42 machine at Galvin's going to have to be very, very careful with that as he does it again because one wrong tap and it could be a benefit or it could be an absolute disaster for both of them. So you have to watch for that, and you know, it's a short race, so he wants to get around him. He's getting eager. You see another bump right there, two bumps right there. Now to the corner panel, gets him a little bit sideways. Galvin able to take a little bit of advantage. Oh, 77 back again. 42 up the racetrack, and the 77 of Strakota gets it back. You can see short track tempers flaring right now.
And I think Galvin hit him once in the center of the corner, but then he hit him again coming off of the corner. And that's what Strakota didn't appreciate. And if you're Jason Galvin, it was a nice move, but you have to think if you're going to do that with like 10 laps to go, then Strakota's probably going to give it right back. And the 77 didn't even wait for, I don't know, the next corner, just got right back into him, loosened him up, didn't take anybody out, but it was definitely an aggressive move by the 77 to get up to P2. And now I almost wonder if the separation is too much for Galvin to get back at him and try again.
It looks like it could well be. Galvin just hasn't quite got the legs at this point. Lap 18 to 25. You've lost some time now. You're not going to get it back in about 7 laps. So 42 is going to have to really push if he wants any chance at this. His only target now is a 77. 77 does have to focus on staying there. And well, he knows 42 has used his bumper in the past. If he can get to him, the 42 is definitely going to hit the 77.
With that number 42 machine now, again, close. But just looking at the intervals, last couple of times, Galvin has been quicker, but it's been, you know, 7/8 of a second that time by Strakota. Going to go 15.224. It is a 2:09 for Galvin, so he's still quicker, but that initial deficit, I think, will be what hurts him here.
Yeah, Galvin's, you know, he tried, and it didn't work out in the end for him because Strakota was able to get back to him, but you see Galvin still pushing hard into every single corner, trying to get back to him, not afraid to use that bumper as we've seen. So I don't think he really cares if he goes in too deep because he'd use that bumper again. But he's got a few more laps to do it, and I don't think he's gonna be able to get to the back bumper.
And close enough to where this time by 2 laps to go, the 77 hit him pretty hard, so there's nothing to say that Jason Galvin can't hit him back. And, you know, an eye for an eye per se, that's how the short track racing code works. It would have, you know, a very hard entry. And 42 is going to be able to get there. The deficit sits at about a car length. In front of all of this, it is Zach Braun. He is 1.1 seconds safe, and he looks to head to the main event tomorrow, but you got to keep your eyes back for a second. Here comes Galvin to the back bumper, and he will give Strakota a shot, and around he goes. They're both going to spin, and it is Strakota. Are you kidding me? Galvin gave him the shot.
Wow.
I thought that the 77 was done, and while spinning, he got payback again. And it is Jason Galvin who ends up limping home P5, and Strakota is going to advance with a P2.
Welcome to short track rules, Evan.
No kidding. Wow.
I feel like that's exactly what I was saying with, you know, give a wrong bump, and it'll be bad for both of them because he was able to get him loose and able to get under him, but after that, he just didn't have control of his car and it went right back into him.
Well, and for the 42 machine, you know, the first time again, I think Strakota was upset because he hit him once, but then he hit him again. That time it was a hard entry, and that's what I said. You know, he's close enough to get there, but he's gonna have to really drive it in. So clobbered the 77. but he only hit him once, you know, and with the history, I don't think it was necessarily overly aggressive, but, you know, the 77 was wrecking at that point, and the 77 stays in the gas, and I'm not thinking the 77, Rachel, was staying in the gas just to try to save it. I think he was trying to make sure he got back to the 42, and it ends up where the 42 goes around, and race control is going to keep an eye on all of that, but I think in both cases, Galvin hits him first, Dakota hits him back, and they kind of end up even. Of course, the drivers aren't going to agree that they're even at the end of it, but everybody got a shot on each other an equal amount of times.
Welcome to the passions of short track racing, is all I could say. This is going to happen, and, well, racing is racing, boys.
They were coming out of 4, and I thought it was Galvin's, but it was not meant to be. A wild heat race number 6. Let's take a look at your LSRTV full race results. Away from all of the excitement was Zach Braun. He is your heat race 6 winner, and he will move into tomorrow's main event, and he will be joined by, unofficially, pending anything we're told, post-race by Garrett Strakota, who comes home in second. Justin Egan ends up in 3rd position when the dust settles in this one. He and Justin Grosser were able to get by Jason Galvin at the end of it, who ends up in P5.
P6 goes to Tony Boyd. P7, Tristan Lessick. P8 goes to Jeremy Watkins. P9, Aaron Lampin. And P10 goes to Randy Yoakum.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Zach Braun wins the heat race number 6. But the story is Garrett Strakota and Jason Galvin. It's a 77 to Strakota moving on. We have more of Jason Galvin to see later on this afternoon as we look forward to the remains in a little bit. But once again, we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. 2 heat races still to go, and they're getting better every single time. Keep it locked at LSRTV, watching Patriot Fire qualifying day on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live. And back live on LSRTV, heat race number 6, now in the books. 2 more to go in this opening portion of qualifying day. Again, once these heat races do round out to a conclusion, we'll go B-main racing. Those races are going to be 50 laps apiece, 2 B-mains. 5 drivers will transfer into the main event per race. And then after that, for everybody that's left, it'll be a 100-lap rough 'em and tough 'em LCQ. And that'll make up the rest of Patriot Fire qualifying day. We're happy you're still with us. So an exciting heat race 6. See Zach Braun and Garrett Strakota punch their tickets into tomorrow's events. Rafe Slate, Jerry Adams, along with Derek Luchacki, Dawson Fletcher, Will Hale, Michael Beamish, Justin Trombley, Jimmy Mullis, Christian Peterson, and Matt Cooker are the drivers up until this point that is all qualified in. So 12 drivers at the moment know that they are going to go racing tomorrow. And I think the bar was really set that last time around, Rachel, for how these races end. And this group for heat race number 7 is going to have to pick it up if they want to keep pace.
Yeah, absolutely. These races are really stepping the tempo up, and well, as the racing gets closer and closer, and the qualifiers in these heats get closer and closer in time as we go down the grid, yeah, it's getting much more exciting. And well, these guys are definitely desperate now.
They are seeing, I think, well, yes, they kind of knew they were going to be in this race anyways, and, you know, yes, we're getting later in the heat races. In theory, it's not making things any harder on them or any more desperate. I think they're starting to see some of the names that are going to be down in those the B-mains and the LCQs, and maybe that's why they want to get it out of the way now. Field rolls off. Let's take a look top to bottom. 10 cars for heat race number 7. Jake Watson will start this one from pole position. The number 22 car will be joined in the front row by the 5 of Sharn Hill. Ricky Harden starting in 3rd position. Corey Rose is 4th, and Jim George, P5.
P6 goes to the 00 of Gabriel Wood. Donovan Barr starts P7. P8 goes to Thomas Emitter II. P9 goes to Robbie Bundy. And then rounding out your field of the 10 cars is Tom Morano.
Look at the bottom at your starting grid. Have noticed that we've gone from, 8-9 cars to about 9-10 cars on average. So smaller field sizes. We said it earlier when we saw the one and only one, I think, that had 8 cars. And I don't think there's much of a difference between 9 down to 8. I will remain consistent and say I don't think there's a big difference from 9 up to 10. But you never know how these ones are going to be playing out. Last couple of restarts have been really tight. The turn number 1. Look for the 22 to try to get out of the gate here at the turn number 4 and get away from all of the excitement. American Ethanol, green flag in the air, and it will be Watson clear to turn 1. But here comes Harden trying to take P2 away from Hill, and he'll do it.
And it's bumpy already at the start of this one. Round number 7 here of the qualifiers, and these guys aren't shy to use the bumpers here, Evan. Everyone's getting some oh, the Chrome Horn is out and proud in this series because these guys are using it to try and get their way further forwards. This isn't a race, this is a scramble.
And the 22's happy he got away from everything. Even Ricky Harden clearing some of the madness. Jim George in 3rd kisses the fence. Time by the front straightaway. Thought that might have costed him some time. To the 21 machine, the 99 on his back bumper. Corey Rose wants to get going. And again, you talk about how you got to get out of the gate quickly. Another shot. The 51 of George sideways. He'll hang on, but the 91 pushing his way through side by side now for 3rd.
That stacked him up. More contact coming out of 4th, but that stacked him up going into turn 1, and that got Donovan Barr around. So really unfortunate for him, but keeping straight on the racetrack. I think what happened there is the number 5. Oh my gosh. Now into the number 51 of George. 5 of Hill now just parked right there on the corner of 3 and 4. So, a lot more bumpers are being used. I think what was happening earlier was, guys were not knowing what was going to happen, just the guinea pigs. But now these guys that are further back in the heats are saying, there's really no way around them other than the horn. So you got to use that chrome horn more. You can't pass them going any other way as they were seeing in the beginning of those first heats.
Tough break for that 51 of Jim George. He got pushed out of the way to the 99 of Corey Rose. He then got turned by the 5 machine. The 5 machine then drove into his door, stationary, down on the inside of the racetrack. Jim George just really got picked on a lot there. And the 51 machine, surprised he didn't take anybody back out in retaliation. But Jim George disappointed, got out one spot shy of a transfer position, and then gets hit 3-4 times by two different drivers and essentially gets bullied out of the top 5. So it's still hard in second. Corey Rose really wanted third. He's gotten there, but is it going to be too little too late? Still 15 to go in the stage this time by, but is 0.8 of a second off of the 21 machine. It's doable, but you need to be, you're talking about at least a 10th per lap, and the last time he got 2 of them, so closing.
5 with a black flag after the incident. Sean Hill there getting that black flag for the tip or the 51. Up front, Jake Watson, it's super close, first and second here. 51 under serious pressure from Ricky Hardin, who is, well, hard in the gas. Pun for the evening.
That's as well, if you look at for the 51 machine of Jim George.
Oh, behind him. Big push there. Corey Rose, sorry, Evan, but Rose just absolutely shot the 21. And up the inside he goes.
He was like 3 car lengths back, and I gotta think the 21 of Hardin was slow in a quarter because he got up to him so easily. And again, Corey Rose pushing his way through. Nobody said the sheet metal's got to be on the front end of that car, and if you gotta get physical, you gotta get physical. It's short track racing. He's yet to get anything paid back to him. Pushed Jim George out of the way, pushed Ricky Hardin out of the way. And I gotta feel like the 21 struggled with something because, again, he just looks so slow in the center. Yes, the 99 drove it in hard, but Hardin had 0 speed in the center when the 99 caught up to him, and that looks like Rose is pulling on him.
You can see just how far the number 21 of Hardin is really driving it in, but Rose just not able to, or he's not able to compete with Rose. So I'm pretty sure that's locked in, but again, you never know. It's short track racing.
And this one's now inside of 10 laps to go. Watson very safe. He will be the 7th consecutive pole sitter to win his heat race. And you can hang on to what is a 2.3 second advantage back to the 99 machine of Corey Rose. Hardin third, and Hardin into the fence that time. I think maybe getting a little bit desperate and may not catch up to the 99 by the end of this one. Gabe Wood is 4th. Bobby Bundan 5th at the time being. 2 drivers out of this race. It is Thomas Mateer the 2nd, parked, and then Sean Hale's a couple of laps down for the black flag.
Yeah, well, this is one of those races where you start to see some real temperaments of drivers coming through, and well, we're going to see these guys trying to push for it because the leader, oh, his gap is absolutely solid. Corey Rose and Ricky Hardin, though, they are pushing it together. And I think the 22 or the 21, so I want to get back towards that 99 machine. Gabriel Wood, though, in the 00, working his way forwards. Could he be there to take advantage if these two get involved in something? They've changed metal already. Could this be Wood's day for a sneak result?
We will see if anybody's able to find that little bit extra at the, you know, at the moment, things calm. We did see the lap traffic play a small factor. With Sean Hill got back out onto the racetrack, and he was in front of your race leader Watson for a little bit. It didn't really affect him much, and Jake Watson's looking to put Jim George an additional lap down. The gap between 2nd and 3rd for the final transfer spot, still 0.7 of a second, and 3 laps to go.
As Rachel was saying, Gabriel Wood back there, but I don't think he has enough time. Really, the only thing that's going to push him to go into 2nd place position is an incident, and they're just too far away from each other for anything to happen. So I think it's just too little too late for him, and he's going to have to settle for a B main.
At 5 is behind him. That is the lap machine as noted to Sean Hill, so Wood not battling for position with the car behind him. I think at the end of it going to come up a little bit shy of Ricky Hardin, but the last lap of the air for the 22 of Jake Watson. He will catch the back of Jim George at the 51. Final car in the lead lap at a P8. No worries though. He'll take it easy at a turn number 4. He'll take the checkered flag in heat race number 7 and head to tomorrow's main event.
Yeah, fantastic result there. Very simple race for him to finish through there. Watson had an absolutely classic one. And well, this is all he needed.
Take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for this one. Jake Watson with the checkered flag, and a Corey Rose with a hard-earned P2 per se. Those are the 2 drivers who take the transfer positions from heat race 7 and go to the main event. tomorrow. Ricky Harden, it comes home third, exactly where he started in this one, far from the tail of the tape. He was in a transfer spot for the better part, but ends up missing it by one. Gabriel Wood picks up a few spots. He does end up in fourth position, though, and then a big gap from him back to Robbie Bundon, who rounds out the top five.
P6 goes to Tom Moreno. P7, Jim George. P8 goes to Donovan Barr. P9, Sharon Hill. And P10, Thomas Mitter II.
Look at your Heat Race 7 full race results. We'll take another opportunity to step aside when we come back. One more Heat Race to go, and then we'll be halfway through Patriot Fire qualifying day. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the 2017 American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association. We've got plenty more tickets to tomorrow to hand out, and two more drivers going to get theirs when we come back.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them four abreast, often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
And we're back live from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Final heat race coming up, 7 down, 1 to go, and just a program alert for you. We noted earlier, B-Main scheduled to start no later than 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It'll be much sooner than that, about 10 minutes or so after the conclusion of this final heat race. We will go right in to our 50-lap B-Mains. B-Main 1, B-Main 2, 50 laps apiece, and then, of course, the 100-lap LCQ at the end of it all to wrap up Patriot Fire qualifying day. Happy that you're still with us, though, at LSRTV, your home for sim racing, as we get set to do it one more time. And I think in what's going to be the smallest field for heat races on the day, looks like 8 cars slated to get set to roll off, waiting for them to head trackside. That last one still had plenty of beating and banging, Rachel. A little bit more tame than heat race number 6, but that race was so crazy, I would still say that last one was plenty exciting.
Well, you know, our first races were so calm. I was like, well, hey, this could be a really quiet 8 races, but it's gotten more intense and more intense as time's gone by. And these guys lined up on pit road, ready to go for this thing. They are looking excited. Something tells me after the last one, this one is going to be a, hey, hold my beer, let's do this.
Well, I think the thing is, you know, in the first group, Kevin, I was mentioning that the people in these later heat races are kind of getting nervous and maybe driving a little more aggressive because they know the names that you mean that second one. I would be concerned to be in any of those B mains or the LCQs because, to be honest, I'm sure half of those guys are ticked off because someone probably hit them. So that's not a group of guys I want to deal with.
Again, short track racing tempers are nothing you want to deal with at all. And maybe you're just an innocent bystander that happened, and you know, they notice a name and maybe they get into you a little bit because they saw that you were in their heat. So you know they're gonna be mad and they're going to want to maybe get some frustration out. So you're gonna want to watch out for that.
Find out how the final heat race of the afternoon shakes out. We go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid. A pole position for this one going to be the number 72 machine of Ryan Kuhn. He will bring us to the green flag tonight, the driver out of East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Joe Burchett will start alongside Kuhn in P2. Brandon Wilkinson, third position for this one, with Matt Chinosky in fourth, and Eric Arnold, P5.
P6 goes to Rocky Boyd, P7 Joshua Cox, and P8 Blake Neer.
Look top to bottom at how we rack them and stack them. Two drivers going to be able to move on. That means a quarter of the field get the result they want. 3/4 of the field do not. Those are not very good percentages. And there's going to be a lot of drivers in those later races as well. So when I say 5 drivers transfer from each B main, you're still talking about a very small percentage of the field when you figure you're going to get at least 24 or so cars in each of those B mains, assuming that everybody is able to start who it starts in these heat races. Let's do it one more time though. 25 laps still on the board, no cautions. Ryan Kuhn, can he make the streak go all the way? A pole sitter has not yet failed to win a heat race, and the 72 leads to turn 1.
Big start by the outside lane there. 28 getting a good run, but it's going to drop back as inside third place. 20 car Wilkinson once again getting in the right place. 88 gets a little bumpy as the 31 is going to go on the low side.
26 machine of Burchett doing a good job of fighting back, but again, when you get the inside of positioning, it's just so difficult to be able to fight back like that. Inside at the Bullring is the place to be, and it is going to be Brandon Wilkinson moving into the number 2 position. Side by side fight for second now. The David Duke Eric Arnold coming up the inside of the racetrack, so the 26 machine is not only going to drop from second to third, it might be even more sideways. He gets tagged. He will hang on, but it's going to be Chinosky who spins sideways. No yellow, obviously. We're still green. And Eric Arnold ends up third, and Burchett does find a spot in line P4.
That was very lucky for Burchett. You know, you got a little tap and you're able to keep it going, and you see the guy who tapped you get a little bit more loose and go into the wall. That's always a good day, so keep it going. And you just see a replay right now, and Chinosky just got into Burchett so hard and able to keep it going, but Chinosky into the wall. And that, again, happy day for Burchett, and able to keep on pressing, focusing on Eric Arnold, then hopefully Brandon Wilkinson.
Wilkinson working a pretty comfortable gap to move it over Eric Arnold. Somebody's got a lot of smoke and putting it down in front of the field. That's the 14 machine of Blake Neer. His night now is done after the 14 machine got into an accident last lap, got hit by the 6 car. Joshua Cox turned him around, so Cox and Neer into an accident, and their night's now subsequently done. And the theme of tearing up some sheet metal in the later heat races continues. You get a second look at that contact. We didn't catch it originally because it was off of the race leaders and they were by themselves on the back straightaway. So 2 more drivers with issues.
Yes, it is, and these guys are going to have a lot of issues. Oh, it's a bit of a contact there. 31 and the 26 having a bit of a fight on the racetrack. 25 is going to come past them here, and Rocky Bird will be the big winner in that one, but 31 gets back again, and this is a real ruckus.
Kuhn is still your race leader. Wilkinson second, Eric Arnold in third position, but it is a big discrepancy between Wilkinson and Arnold, 2-3. That's about 3 seconds of difference. And Eric Arnold's got a pretty damaged race car. I'm sure that's not helping him much. You got Rocky Boyd and Joe Burchett closing into his back end. We saw the issues for Matt Chinosky, who's still P6, and was able to eventually hang on after he ended up on the inside fence. But you know, maybe saw the opportunity to get up to P4 as a chance for him. He kind of got his nose chopped off a little bit by Burchett, and that was all that it took, as Burchett has again now lost that spot to Boyd. So Boyd up to P4, Burchett down to P5. So it would be another race in which somebody who starts up inside of the top 2 drops outside of the top 2. Ryan Kuhn doesn't care about none of those statistics. He's looking to make it 8 for 8 on pole sitters, and he's in a fantastic spot now, 1.7 seconds in front.
And they're just going to keep on battling hard, but I don't think that there's really going to be a need to. Just maybe run your race and keep hitting your marks, because, you know, the gap between Wilkinson and Arnold, again, 3 seconds apart. So just keep on hitting your marks, and you only got 5 laps left. So Arnold might try to press a little bit harder, but I don't see with only 10 laps to go you're going to be able to get to the back bumper of Wilkinson. So we have to watch a little bit more, and we'll have to just watch how this works out.
We will see exactly how it all plays through. Still seeing battles on track. Boyd and Burchett fighting, but again, the 25 was the one who got up and around and passed the 26 machine, so I'm not sure how much Burchett's going to have for him. He looks to the inside of the racetrack. We will go side by side for 4th position. It will, I guess, at the end of the day, be an important spot because it'll affect where you do start for your respective B main. Of course, you know, the driver who comes home in 3rd position ends up at B main 1, 4th position B main 2, 5th B main 1, 4th B main 2, etc. as they alternate positions in, you know, the grid order for the next race. So it could be critical getting 1 spot difference, because that puts you in a completely different race. So never say never. Joe Burchett up to P4. If he's able to do something in the B main, we'll look back on that move as a critical moment.
Yeah, we certainly will, of course, and these moves that happen now, everything's relevant, of course. Brandon Kern looking like he's going to get away with this one, no problem whatsoever. Wilkinson as well. These moves all matter, and these guys will think back to this when they get into that later race, of course. This will affect how they drive in the B mains and the finals, and the LCQ even.
31 machine of Eric Arnold, next driver in the scope of the number 26 machine in 3rd position, and a little bit of contact as these two meet each other once more, and they'll come to 3 laps to go this time by again. If Burchett picks up this position as well, he'll be back into a different heat race, or rather a different B main, depending on his result. So he wants to get it, and I don't think Aaron Arnold's going to put up too much of a fight.
Yeah, keep on seeing them fighting back and forth. You know, the more they fight, though, the less they're really going to be able to catch up. But they do seem to be catching up a little bit. But even if you do fight a little bit more, it's just not going to work out for you, and you only have 2 laps to go. So, you know, maybe they just want better track position for that LCQ.
White flag in the air this time by for Ryan Kuhn. In fact, he's already on the back straightaway, clear of everybody else, and in every single heat race, pole position is the only guarantee. Ryan Kuhn is going to race in tomorrow's American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring. He wins this one and closes out our heat races with a win in heat race at number 8.
He certainly does. A fantastic result there from him, and it's been 8 for 8, Evan. It's been a trend. I wonder what will happen in our B mains.
Wilkinson also going to get that ticket. Let's go and take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. It is Ryan Kuhn who comes home with a win, and Brandon Wilkinson who comes home in 2nd position, started 3rd, picked up a spot, continued that trend as well, and they'll do some dual burnouts on the front straightaway. Those are your 2 transferees from heat race number 8. The drivers headed to the B mains, Joe Burchett who comes home in 3rd, Eric Arnold 4th, and Rocky Boyd P5.
P6 goes to Matt Shinowski, the person who was involved in that early incident. P7 goes to Blake Neer, and rounding out your lineup for the final heat race, Joshua Cox.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Let's recap what happened in our heat races. Heat race 1 saw Matt Kunker and Christian Peterson advance to the main event. Heat race 2, Jimmy Mullis and Justin Trombley. From heat race 3, Michael Beamish and William Hale. From heat race 4, Dawson Fletcher and Derek Gluchacki. Also from heat race number 5, Rafe Slate and Jeremy Adams. From heat race 6, Zach Braun and Garrett Strakota. From heat race 7, 7, Jake Watson and Corey Rose. And from heat race number 8, Ryan Kuhn and Brandon Wilkinson. And the fun thing about all of that is that means we are now completed half of the laps on a Patriot Fire qualifying day, and we've already decided half of the field for tomorrow's 350 lap main event. We'll take another opportunity to step aside, and we'll be back in just a couple of moments for the first of 2 B mains, second opportunity to get into the main event tomorrow. 5 drivers move on when we come back. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of Patriot Fire Qualifying Day, part of the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association, on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live.
Hi, I'm Ryan Priest. I'm driving the number 20 JGR Toyota Xfinity car this weekend. Really great opportunity here at New Hampshire at my home track. Over the past few weeks, I've been on iRacing, practicing a little bit here and there with the modified and the NASCAR Xfinity car, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great tool for me to kind of get used to that stock car body again and be prepared for the race today. Well, yeah, it's a mile long, so the draft kind of plays into effect here with the modifieds, punches a big hole in the air, and we run restrictor plates. So it makes a big difference. Just really fast, and it's our Daytona. So that's what's great about it, and we have a fast car for tomorrow. I think the biggest thing is they're heavier cars. The tire's a lot different, and the way you go about setting them up's a lot different. They use all 4 tires more than a modified, where we typically drive off the right rear, you know, so. Well, actually, it's funny. I raced NASCAR race in 2003 before iRacing came about. And then when iRacing came about, my friend Kevin Iannarelli, who works at iRacing, kind of told me, hey man, you need to switch over to this. And when I did, I was like, oh my God, this is like real life. So I started using it as a tool of mine to really prepare for modified races, whether it was Stafford or Thompson or Loudon, Bristol. And then obviously the Xfinity Series last year, going to road courses, trying to get laps, and use it as a tool that can get me as prepared as I could be without actually doing it. So it's been great.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV, and it may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. And welcome back live from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The sun begins to set in the entertainment capital of the world as we move to one of the more entertaining things on our schedule, and that is B-Main Racing. All the drivers getting set to go racing in this one failed to qualify into tomorrow's battle at the Bullring in their respective heats. And yes, there are 5 drivers from this race getting the ticket into the next race, and that's plenty more than the 2 we had, but there is a lot of cars, and 5 compared to the car count, not very friendly percentage, if you will. So this is going to be the case in both B-Mains 1 and 2. Evan Pazoka, Trevor Valderrama with you for the first one. We'll pass things back over with Rachel Whiteford and Cisco for the second B-Main. And up in just a little bit. Big things to note, though, Trevor, as we head into these B-Mains in comparison to the heat races from earlier on is one, well, as you can see, looks a little bit more orange out there. The sun's going down, later evening conditions. I don't think it's going to have a huge effect on the track, but should note it just for sakes. But I think the biggest thing is, A, we've got 50 laps, so twice as long, and B, cautions are now in effect. Now, some of the heat races, it wouldn't have mattered, but especially in those later ones, yellows would have definitely had a big effect on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we just saw contact after contact after contact. So cautions, they're going to have to be mindful of that. Cautions are on. They're going to have to be mindful and, you know, maybe be conservative. You have 50 laps. I know it's not, it's just 2 heats in one. That's not really a large amount of time with a short track, but they're just going to have to keep it going.
The yellows are really going to dictate how long of a race this feels. Yes, at the end of the day, it's 50 laps, and that's only 2 heat races, and yes, that's what we'll see later on for the LCQ at 100 laps. You know, it's only 2 of the B mains, but if it stays green, this race is not going to last very long. If we have a lot of yellows and a lot of restarts, you're not going any further distance, but it's going to take a lot longer to complete those 50 laps, and it is going to, I think, mentally affect these drivers if you keep re-racking them and restacking them and sending them off 2 by 2 and take a go at it. But let's introduce you to the drivers who are fighting for their lives, and we will look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid for B main number 1. It is Ryan Doucette who will start this one from up front. Again, drivers who finished 3rd in their heats will be above all those who finished 4th to the 5th, and so on and so forth. It'll be Cody Griffin outside of the front row, rolling off in 2nd position. Tyler DiVincenzo in 3rd, with Ricky Hart in 4th, and Jody Green P5.
Dwight Beverly P6, Jackson Lewis goes in P7, P8 goes to Gabriel Wood, P9 Tyler Jordan, and rounding out your top 10, Caden Anderson.
AJ Rogers will start from 11th position. Robbie Bundon will roll off in 12th spot. It is Gareth Conrath in 13th, Sebastian Taylor in 14th, and Jeff Gow 15th.
P16 goes to Tom Moreno, P17 Tyler Dalton, P18 Ken Morin Jr., P19 Craig Hawkins, and P20 Jim George.
21st position as cars roll is Mark Humble. Matt Bontempi will start 22nd. Eric Spencer is 23rd. Donovan Barr 24th. And Steve Wright in 25th.
26 goes to Steve Bachman, or Buchanan, P27 Jacob Harvards, and P28 Thomas Mitter.
We looked at the bottom, 28 cars, only 5 of them are going to be moving on. So we talked about how only 2 out of 8 were able to move on for the heat races. The percentage is actually worse. The cars are going to be able to advance out of this race than it was in the heat races, which means it's tougher. And if you're inside of the top 10, you feel like you got a shot, but the guys outside of the top 20 are going to be desperate for the drop of the American Ethanol green flag. And this is where qualifying day starts to get really exciting. Happy you're still with us at LSRTV and iRacing Live. Green flag in the air for pole sitter Ryan Doucette to turn 1. It'll be Cody Griffin challenging for the lead. 77 should have the advantage on the inside.
We saw a trend with first place winning every heat, so we'll see if that translates into the B mains. We already have a yellow on track.
Saw a lot of smoke. It's going to be the 47 of Mark Humble and the 75 of Spencer. I said the guys outside of the top 20 were going to be desperate, and that's where problems come from first. A lot of contact as the 47 got bounced around a little bit, and you get a better picture of this when we get a look at the LSRTV replay. 47's getting bounced around. The 75 kind of gets pushed up to his inside, and at that point there was nothing either of those cars could have done. Spencer in the 75 and Humble in the 47 hooked together. They come down on the 80 machine. Also nowhere really for that bright blue 80 car of Jacob Harberts to go. He did keep it out of the wall, though. He almost ended up in those tires down there by the inside retaining wall. He is going to get some damage from it. It could have been a lot worse. The field is going to regroup, and everybody is going to wait on the pace car and get themselves back in their correct positions as heat race, or the B main, I should say, number 1 continues with the yellow early on.
Yeah, absolutely. The drivers outside of P20, even P15, are going to have to battle hard to get themselves into the top 5 to get that transfer position. But you know, it's really hard for these drivers, you know, to make their way around such a small and condensed track. It's only 0.38 of a mile, so it's going to be hard to battle throughout this whole entire race. You know, it's 50 laps. It's a shorter range throughout the race that we're going to have tomorrow. So they're going to have a lot of battling to do.
And the other thing is, you know, other contrary to, you know, what you might expect short track rules is obviously on the iRacing service, all these yellow flag laps will count. So every time you get a yellow, it definitely slows the pace of the race down. You're going to be still taking about, you know, 3-4 laps at minimum actually out of this race, as far as you're not going to have that many laps in the green. And that's kind of the challenge when you're back in the pack, Trevor. Is your 15th position, say you're Sebastian Taylor 15th right now. You gotta drive hard to get up to the front. That involves being aggressive. And restarts can help because that groups everybody up. But the problem is every restart takes a chunk of the laps out of the race, and that's the irony for the guys in the back that may be bringing out the yellows is you're driving hard trying to move up front. Those yellows, though, if you do trigger them, are only going to hurt you in the long run. Let's try it again. 5 laps down, still 45 to go, and B main number 1. Green flag, and another good jump for Griffin topside. He'll challenge for the lead. 77 on the left rear quarter panel. Griffin not going to give this one up.
Griffin fighting hard on that outside line, and caution comes out again.
It is the 89 machine of Thomas Mateer, the second time in a row. The driver in 23rd position finds themselves with an issue, and a tough one to call here. He was on the inside. There was a checkup coming to the green flag, and he moves up a little bit, and yeah, he did open up the lane for Jacob Harberts on the inside, and you could probably say that Harberts would have backed out of it in this fight for 24th and 25th or whatever, but the 80 machine wants to hold it true, and the 89 machine did not want to give up that position, and I think a little bit of stubbornness on both ends of those drivers. I'm sure they saw each other, but felt like they had the position, and when you got two guys thinking that they're right, probably you're both wrong, and both those cars wreck, and nobody's a winner, and we get another yellow.
Absolutely. We're just going to keep on seeing hard fighting. They're going to want to get up into the front, but no one's going to get anywhere if we keep on having these cautions come out. So, you got to get yourself settled in. You were saying earlier, it's going to take a big chunk of these laps out. We're already on lap 9. We're probably going to restart after lap 10. That only gives them 40 laps to get something done. But if they keep on going, it's going to be harder and harder to get themselves, a good racing lane and get them out there onto the racing surface. You see the pace car lights are still on, but you also see behind them the cars are already lined up. They're revving to go. They are very excited. They do not want to keep on pacing under these caution laps. They are ready to go, Evan.
Yeah, as of right now, the drivers aren't even waiting for the white flag for the restart lights to go out and for the sim to actually tell them to double up. At least the guys up front want things to get back underway because, again, both incidents early in this one have come from contact outside of the top 22 in the running order. Pace car back down and in. Cody Griffin's been challenged every single time, and he had a nose in front, so this time he will be in the preferred lane on the bottom. Let's see what Polson Ryan Doucette can do topside if he can pay him back. Green flag in the air. No, sir, the 77 doesn't get going, and Doucette and the 27 of Divinanza have wrecked into the inside wall. No caution. We stay green, and 2 top 5 cars are out of it.
That was absolutely insane. We have got ourselves a whole new race. I want to say 4 new drivers will be inside of the top 5. Or 2 new drivers, my bad. Math is not my strong suit right now. 2 new drivers will be inside the top 5. So that brings Gabriel Wood and Dwight Beverly inside. Now Garrett Conrath into the top 5. So we'll see how this goes for them. But right now, we're staying green.
77 just did not get going on the start. It had been consistently Doucette getting beaten on the restarts by Griffin. Griffin got that quick yellow, therefore was the control car, and the 77 just caught sleeping, got hit from behind, and your math was right the first time. 3 new faces inside of the top 5. Caution is out. It was Lewis up to P2, Wood to 4, and Conrath to 5, but we'll slow him down and try it again. Issues with Matt Bontempi. In turn number 2, he was way slowing off the pace, and he got hit by the 15 of Steve Buchanan, and those 2 drivers went for a spin.
That was absolutely insane, that start of that race, and we'll have to take a look at that again and also look at that caution, but you're just going to keep on seeing all these hard battlings going on throughout the remainder of this race. These guys want to get inside this final race to get that $500.
And in all of these races, if you look at the numbers that I was talking about, how, if 2 out of 8 drivers get in, it's about 25% of the cars. In this one, if 5 out of 28 get in, you know, it's a little bit worse than 20% as well. So the odds in every single race that these guys race in is you're not going to advance. But I don't think there was really much reason for panic on the face, just simply because, you know, you finished third in your heat race. You're not terrible. You got a good start in this, but things can very quickly go from, okay, I got third in my heat race, I'm starting up front to be main, to we are in a bad spot because Doucette started on pole. Divinanzo started third. Perfect positions. They're fine. Everyone's wrecking outside of the top 20, Trevin, and now you're in a wreck. You're going to finish towards the back of the B main, which means you're going to start to the back of the LCQ, and all of a sudden, you go right from being relatively confident and comfortable with your surroundings to hitting the panic button because all of a sudden, you might not make the race tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking, definitely. You know, you go from the front and, you know, chilling, like, I got this, I can do this, just survive 50 laps, to, oh no, I made a mistake, now I have to battle back. And going through the back of the field, you see all these incidents are happening 15th-ish on back, so it's going to be hard to get through this field and not get involved in an incident for the rest of this race. They're lined up again, caution lights are still on, they are revving to go, they want more than 3 laps of green flag racing.
You know, just how itching these guys are wanting to go, and back to the point you had made. So Jackson Lewis has gone from 7th to 2nd, outside to in. Gabe Wood has gone from 8th to 4th, outside to in, and it is Garrett Conrad, 13th to 5th. Bigger movers, +8 positions. He holds the final transfer spot at the moment. Critically, P5 puts him to the inside of row 3. And that was obviously the preferred positioning as they head off to the corner. Let's see what Cody Griffin can do. He has been by far and large, control car or not, the best on the restarts so far in what has been a off and on B main #1. Coming to the green flag this time, nothing spectacular. He'll get beat to the line by the 7 of Jackson Lewis, but topside going to be difficult for Lewis to hang on. Perfect scenario as he finds a spot in line single file P2, and he's trying, but the 21 of Ricky Harden will not let him get it easily. Now he does clear for 2nd and a yellow behind.
A lot of carnage behind them. It just started a little bit further back in turn number 4. Car just got turned around. Trying to figure out who that was. That's number 13, it appears to be. And then the 37 got to the number 13 and then just stacked up behind him.
And there's 2 simultaneous spins because you're looking at a yellow 13, and I'm saying the yellow car's got an 87 on it. Both of them got turned at about identical times. That 13 machine did get spun by the 37. At the same time, behind them, Robbie Bunden's 87 also got turned by Ken Moran Jr. That's the car that I saw going around. And we end up with about 2-3 cars wrong way around. And the yellow flag comes out. And again, these guys have been racing with 8, 9, 10 cars all, you know, day long. And of course, in practice, you don't really get out there at a big field like this, Trevin. So it's a big transition to go from 10 cars to 28 cars, and the guys in the back of the pack just can't seem to get spread out enough at a restart to avoid those big checkups.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely a hard change to make from your heat races and practicing alone to a big field of 28 cars, and it's just going to get harder and harder for them to get going. And we're having some issues with that number 15 machine. Evan, you got anything?
Hearing that there's some contact under the yellow flag. Buchanan's one of the guys who's been involved in an accident already this evening. And he was, I think, hitting the 18 machine, removed. And he has been parked by race control. He was not happy with the 27, gave a couple of hits to Tyler Divinanzo. And the 27 machine is a little bit worse for wear because of it. The 15 machine has been parked, and Steve Buchanan has been disqualified from this race for intentional contact under caution, is what the memo for race control says. Curious if that means that he's also going to be done as far as LCQ-wise, or if he will be allowed to start that one just simply from the back of the pack. Anyways, we keep our focus on the 24 drivers that are still scored on the lead lap in this one, and we get set to do it again. The number 3 at Cody Griffin going to be in control for the restart once more. Didn't get a good jump last time, but at the end of the day, The 7 machine wasn't able to clear him, and Jackson Lewis, I think, got saved by that yellow because Harden was going to make him fight for all his money's worth in a fight for P2. Let's see what happens on this round of it. We're halfway home in the BB. Green flag in the air. Good jump for Griffin. Clear for P1. Lewis comfortably second. The first fight's for third.
And going back on that point with Steven Buchanan, a 15 machine, he has been parked for the rest of the night. He is done, no LCQ for him, and his shot at $500 is out the door. So going back to the racing up front, we have got yellow flags waving yet again, trying to figure out what happened there.
And I don't see any big group of cars
51 has gotten tagged by that number 80 machine. Jim George a little bit sideways, and I believe that's what happened.
Yeah, race control just said over the radio that probably a quick yellow. Again, that's something that's automatically triggered by the iRacing service. It was a great save by Jim George. I guess if iRacing says the car's wrecked and it throws a yellow for a wrecked car and you bring that thing out in one piece, then I think that's a pat on the back, and you know, is able to hang on to it and save that car, and he will, in fact, I don't even think lose any positions unless he does get hit with the DOL for the cause of the yellow. But because he probably didn't receive any incident points unless he got a loss of control penalty, Jim George should be able to maintain 11th. Not the best position in the world to be with less than 20 laps to go in this race, but within striking distance, already +9 on the evening, and a little bit of a weird yellow, very different to those that we've seen up until this point in this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's an interesting one, but again, it does slow you down. Now you've got less than 20 laps to get something happening. Really, the only thing that can help is another incident that happened in the front. These guys in the back of the pack that are racing clean and wanting to get up to the front are just getting very, very frustrated, probably wanting to push a little bit harder now because they know they only got less than 20 laps to go, and they're not getting anywhere in the little stints that they've had under green. So you know, it's really hard for them to manage with that.
Still 23 cars on the lead lap. The likes of Garrett Conrad, Steve Buchanan are out of this race. So is Ryan Doucette, Eric Spencer. Tom Moreno is not done. That car is still on track. It's stationary in the pit box, but I don't think he's going to be able to get back out. But 5 drivers out of this race, I don't think that's a bad percentage, considering some of the, you know, the chaos early on, which is come to be expected again when you go from 10 to 28 cars, and you're talking about guys fighting for a shot at $500. $500 just to win. That's not the total purse. The money being handed out amongst simply the top 5 cars tomorrow. You know, you're talking about $1,000 for the top 5 cars. So, yeah, I think guys have a little bit of an excuse to get aggressive. But again, 50-lap LCQs, though, or the 50-lap B-mains, LCQ later on if you don't get the top 5 in this one. 33 laps down, 17 more to go. Griffin's been good up front. He got a very good restart last time. We'll see if he can do it again. Green flag in the air. Yes, he does. Lewis wants to find P2. He will. It'll be Harden in 3rd spot.
P2 goes to Jackson Lewis, fighting hard, and 21 of Ricky Harden trying to get to that back bumper. Now we're getting a little bit, now we're sideways a little bit further back. Another caution coming out of turn 4.
A lot of smoke, a lot of guys slowing down, and looks like everybody going to be relatively okay, I would say, all things considered. The issues up on the outside of the racetrack. Very slow. It's the orange car there, the 01 machine, I believe. By the way, Beverly, who had the issues, and a tough breaks, got Patriot Fire on board the 01. A big thanks to our friends at Patriot Fire for sponsoring today's Patriot Fire qualifying day. Beverly goes for a complete 360, and it keeps on going. Tough break for the driver, who at the time was running in 8th spot. Trevin on the doorstep of a transfer position. Now out of this thing after getting tagged by the 14 car.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be a tough break, or it's got to be tough for all these drivers that are getting involved in these incidents, pulling their cars behind the wall, because they just want to make it into that final position, right? The final transfer spots. Excuse me, had a little tough time, but you know, these guys at the end of the day, they're gonna have to race hard to get into that transfer spot. As you're seeing, you know, just these guys getting all over the place, all over the back bumpers, all a little too close, you know. Also, you have to adjust to these guys' braking points throughout the field. Somebody might have a few more car lengths different braking point than you do, so you have to adjust to that as well. So short track racing brings a lot of tempers, also a lot of contact, and a lot of bent up sheet metal.
We have seen our fair share of all of those different medians to this point as well. And again, this is not the only B main on the evening. 2 B mains. We'll have another about 30 car field coming up for 50 laps immediately after this one. And then that'll be followed by the LCQ, which is really one that you have to buckle up for. Just keeping an eye on the pace car. The lights are still on. Wouldn't be surprised if guys already go 2x2. And just as we say that, the 7 car, Jackson Lewis already going topside. No surprise to me, really, that Cody Griffin has been taking the inside again. He started this race P2, was getting better restarts than your pole sitter, and a very quick yellow on one of those good restarts scored him in front. He has not looked back since then. Cody Griffin has been the strongest car in this race by far. Jackson Lewis is second, Ricky Harden third, Gabriel Wood fourth, and Tyler Jordan P5 at the moment, occupying those transfer positions. 3 of those drivers did not start top 5. Cody Griffin and Ricky Harden, the only 2 that did.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting battle throughout the rest of this. You got less than 10 laps to go when this race restarts. Looking at the top of the pace car, the lights are out, so it's going to be 10 laps to go once this race restarts. So it's going to be a hard-fought battle throughout the rest of the night. We'll see how this goes, and I'm not thinking they're letting up bumping anytime soon. So we'll look up to the top 5.
Green flag is in the air again. Good start for the 3, but this is not good news for Jackson Lewis. He's pinned up on the outside of the racetrack. Harden has the preferred line on the inside for second spot. Trying to fight for P2. Lewis trying to pinch him down, and I think the 7's going to do it. Nice drive topside. Lewis stays P2, and a caution behind just as Gabe Wood was going to make a move topside for third, and it looks like, again, issues with Mike Beverly in the 1 machine. Again, caught up at a checkup, and again, spins off of somebody else's bumper.
The number 27 of Divanzo got a little stacked up, 19 got into the back of Divanzo, and then got into the back of that 01 machine, spun him around, and that brought out the caution.
The race control kind of echoes those same thoughts, you know, for the 01. And yes, Tyler Divanzo was getting into the back of the 01 machine a couple of times, but this is how most of the accidents we've seen have happened, where you got so many cars, and everybody, again, kind of like at a super speedway, is trying to get down to that low line, and when everybody ducks into one line and then jams on the brakes and slows down to 50 some odd miles an hour, you're going to get people getting, you know, locked up, and is Beverly going off at the nose of Divanzo, but no intent on the 27's part, and race control recognizing such will not issue him a penalty for being the cause of the caution, like you would see somebody do some more, I guess I'll say, avoidable instances, which we've seen a couple of examples to this point as well. So now we're going to restart inside of the final 5 laps, talking about earlier how the yellows and you losing those 4 or 5 laps at a time try to really affect the pace of the race, and we've seen that here in this race already. But going to be inside of 5 to go means doesn't matter if we go green to the end, doesn't matter if we get another quick yellow, this will be the final restart. So I'm not even really going to be watching the guys up front. Watch P5 and 6, because Tyler Jordan is going to be inside of row 3. AJ Rogers is going to be outside of row 3 on the outside of the transfer spots, but they will be side by side. They could be side by side when the yellow comes out and takes the field as they run. So that could be critical and a good opportunity for the 17 to try something if he can get that outside line moving.
Yeah, these are going to be all hard transfer positions to go through. So 5 and 6, there's going to be a fantastic battle going on for that. Also, got to watch out for the back also.
Thought we were going green, but I noticed up front the pace car's still there. Everybody gets doubled up, and you think this race is going to go back green, and no, we're still pacing. Lights are going to go out this time, I would assume. like Simon says, that yes, the lights are out on top of the pace car. So we are going to restart with only 3 laps to go from the Bullring. That's not a lot of time. Yes, keep an eye on Griffin and Lewis on the front row, but the transfer spot is the top 5, and that splits row 3 right in half. We'll keep a close eye on Tyler Jordan, 29, and AJ Rogers in the number 17 machine. Now, Griffin up front, though, on the inside of the racetrack is going to come to bring us back to the green flag. A high-speed restart this time as we go back green in the fight for 5th. Tyler Jordan in front of the 17, and we're wrecking behind. That'll be the yellow, and it looks like Jordan going to be in front when it comes out.
Massive, massive incident behind them, and that would just round out the race. And you see the 14 just go below that line because he got a little bit of a tap from the 80 machine, and just got a little loose, and then took out that number 51 machine, and that ends everybody's hope. But yep, they do have an LCQ right around the corner.
And the 14 got to the back of the 51. The 51 moved from that top lane to the bottom. So the 14 essentially brake checked the car behind him. I know it's not, you know, the intent there. Kind of hard to blame that on Jeff Gow because, you know, some guy came down on him. But the 14 hits the brakes in front of the 80. There's nothing that, you know, Jacob Harberts can do in that situation. Gow ends up way off kilter, takes out the 51 machine, and chaos down in turns 1 and 2. A torn up sheet metal under the yellow, though. Final time by Cody Griffin. It's going to be your winner in B main number 1. Takes home the win. I think by and large the best car. And well, yes, he didn't qualify in through the heats. That was an impressive run. Keep an eye for that 3 car tomorrow.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race. You know, well, for what we had under green flag conditions, it was a great race because we had a lot of battling going on up the front, and then just too many cars trying to get into one space at one time, and just couldn't get a handle on it. So it was a hard-fought battle for the drivers up front, and then you could tell the sense of urgency in the back of the field.
Let's take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for B main number 1. Cody Griffin takes home the win after starting in 2nd position. Jackson Lewis goes 7th to 2nd. Ricky Harden 4th to 3rd, with Gabe Wood 8th to 4th. And Tyler Johnson up from 9th to P5. Those are your drivers who will advance into tomorrow's main event. Everybody else, you're going LCQ racing later on tonight. AJ Rogers is 6th position. Ken Moran, the junior, is 7th. Also got Jacob Harberts there at 8th spot. Donovan Barr, P9. And Jeff Gow rounds out the top 10.
Sebastian Taylor finishes 11th. Jim George, 12th. Craig Hawkins, 13th. Tyler Dalton, 14th. Mark Humble, 15th. Matt Bontempi finishes 16th. 17th goes to Steve Wright. Dwight Beverly finishes 18th, and 19th goes to Jody Green, with Tyler DeVinziano finishing P20.
And then it's also going to be Kaden Anderson who rounds out your lead lap cars in 21st. It'll be Robbie Button in 22nd. All these drivers out of this race. Thomas Matier in 23rd. Garrett Conrad 24th. Steve Buchanan 25th. With Tom Moreno, Ryan Doucette, and Eric Spencer rounding out your top 28. That's a look at your full race results for B main number 1. B main number 2 is due up. 5 more drivers going to get their ticket punched to tomorrow's $500 to win battle at the Bullring. We'll take an opportunity as those cars get on track, and we come back with you 50 laps of B main racing all over again. You're watching Patriot Fire Qualifying Day, part of LSRTV's coverage of the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Welcome back to the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway as LSRTV continues its coverage of the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring. Here, live time or prime time here on LSRTV. We kicked out Evan and Trevin. They went out to go get some sandwiches because we still got a little bit racing left to go. So it's myself, Cisco Scaramuza, alongside Rachel Whiteford to bring you all the action. And well, Rachel, that first race, there was a lot of beaten up sheet metal. We've already seen a fight on the racetrack, at least 2 of them throughout the heats. I don't know what to expect, but I get the feeling to expect some more torn up sheet metal. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, Cisco. I was about to say Evan for a second there. There's going to be torn up sheet metal. Hopefully these guys are the sensible bunch and we get something a bit less derpy, but, well, who knows?
Yeah,
only 2 races left for them. They got to get a result at some point, otherwise they're going home empty-handed.
Yeah, top 5, of course, from this B main. Move on to the race. Everybody else is going to have one more shot in the LCQ, 6 through 17. Going to have the opportunity to make that happen. So as the field gets ready to hit the starting grid, we'll run through that in a moment. But 50 laps on the docket. It's just about over 18 miles or so, and this thing hopefully should be done fairly quickly, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Time to take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for the B main, the second B main here for the American Pool Supply and Patriot Fire qualifying day. Eric Arnold gonna take the pole in the number 31. Actually, no, it's gonna be the 30 of Will Dravicki gonna be on pole. Nick Silver gonna start to his outside. 3rd place gonna go to Justin Egan. 4th gonna go to Joe Brissett, and 5th gonna go to Garrett Huffins.
6th place will be Justin Grosser with Eric Arnold in the 7th spot. Lowell Jewell in 8th place with Andrew Wooten and Jason Galvin.
Jason Galvin running out your top 10. Rocky Boyd 11th. 12th going to go to James Kerhula. 13th to Tommy Ryan. 14th to Tony Boyd. And 15th, Matt Chinosky.
Jason Day comes in 16th place with Hunter Wright, Jeremy Watkins, Blake Neer, and Brad Carpenter. Rest of your field coming up: Matt Osterdek, Aaron Lapham. There we go. We'll get his name right. Justin Cox, Joshua Cox even, as I'm making more mistakes than Cisco right now. Kennedy Lowry, Tristan Lesk, and Randy Yoakum.
26 cars going to have the opportunity to hop into those top 5 spots to guarantee them to race on Sunday, but they've got to make it 50 laps in order to have an opportunity to do that. Pace cars in and field in the hands, the number 30 of Will Dravicki, and field will go on his cue, and they will take the green flag. No, Dravicki not going to go. Green flag now in the air, and Nick Silver, a huge jump early on. 24 will lead into 1.
There's going to be a wreck. I can see it happening now. As round they go at the back of the field. You know what? I thought that'd be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th there, Cisco, but wreck happened right at the back there. That was, I believe,
Brad Carpenter, 9.
Yeah, the 9. Brad Carpenter having a bit of a spin around there as we take a look at this. He comes across the nose. Oh no, the 6 goes in the back of him, punts him round. And looks like this race is starting how the first one did.
Yeah, they managed a lap last time, not even able to do that this time.
3 backwards here, Cisco. This one, including the, I believe off the edge of this one, the 45 and the 97 also getting turned around in the aftermath. So this one is starting out as a bloodbath.
It got sketchy, that's for sure, but everybody going to be able to mostly hold on to it. So looks like another case of a couple different accidents happening all there at once. You see the 32 getting into the 6, and that later incident that happens, 97 and 45 go around to add on to the carnage from that first wreck here. So caution out early on. 48 laps to go, 47 laps to go at the line now. And Nick Silver, with the jump of the century on that start, was able to edge out Will Dravicki before they made it across the line. And the driver, most notably, who runs in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, sits right now on the point, and Will Dravicki, a regular in the CEA Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, to his outside. So some familiar faces up front, but Silver I've really been watching because I haven't had the opportunity to watch him a whole lot in an SLM. He mainly drives the Gen 6 when I see him, so it's really cool to see some of these drivers coming from other series, coming into these cars, into this race, and of course the payout on the line helps coax some drivers over as well.
Certainly does. And well, the race is going to be interesting for so far. Do you think we have Gabriel Wood here right now, an expert analyst who's going to join us for this one? And Gabe, of course, was in your 7th of your heat races here today as we're under caution. Gabe, this track, just how hard is it to drive in a crowd?
It's pretty difficult. Yeah, I came in here, decided to hop in the booth because I see Cisco commentating, so can't.
Yeah,
can't exactly
letting Evan and Trevin get sandwich breaks.
All right. Well, yeah, it's difficult, especially because I kept getting stuck on the outside for every restart. So it made the blood pressure go up every restart we had.
Yeah, Gabe, you finished 4th in the first B main. You're moving on to Sunday, but talk about the pressure that you were under as a driver coming into this race. You know, 50 laps, and we've already seen a lot of sheet metal on the racetrack tonight.
Well, I knew if I was, if I had to make a move, I had to make it big, and the wreck on the restart there that didn't cause a caution was my opportunity, and I made it 3 wide. And then I went on the apron because I saw, I believe it was Dwight Beverly checking up, so I knew I had to get into the top 5 and just kind of stay there. There was going to be
the base car pulls off the track to the backstretch here, Gabe. We'll just have to kind of come back to you in a little bit, we hope, as restart here. 24, Nick Silver in the lead with the 30 of Will Dravicki, and the green flag will wave. Big start this time by Nick Silver. Finally finds first gear, gets that car going forwards here, as behind him 3 wide with the car in the apron, deep in the pack as the car goes round again, and yes, there'll be another caution. What a
Tommy Ryan, 23, so a little bit different number there, kind of caught me off guard, but that was Tommy Ryan.
We'll go back to Gabe.
23, yeah, in a moment. We'll take a second look at that accident. It was Ryan down on the inside. They went 3 wide on the restart. The 25 in front of them, that is the 25 of Rocky Boyd, and it's just checkup from there. 52, I think, going to get the assist on that one. And it was Tony Boyd who absolutely ran over the car in front of him there. Not sure if it was just nowhere to go or the case, but we're right on board with the 52 here. And we've seen a lot of space compromises. Oh, maybe hearing possibly more issues due to the fact that he jumped the start, but also the 14 getting involved, another assist there to Blake Neer. So yeah, it looks like he might be maybe sent to the back here. We'll have to see. But Gabe, it looks like this track, it's only 0.375. It's not even a whole half a mile. And these super late models used to running on half a mile to mile tracks. You can see the kind of space accommodations that these cars just really aren't fitting to it terribly well.
Well, I can speak from this firsthand, especially on those restarts during that B main. Once you get a restart, you start coming to the green flag, and you see the leader take off. Well, you can see the leader take off if you're 10 rows back. Some places, like if you get onto like a little bit bigger short track, or into the NASCAR Xfinity Cup Series cars, you can't see the leader. Well, here you have a really good chance to see the leader, and that's what's causing these stack ups. And I was a part of a few of them. It's just kind of difficult to stay out of.
Can I ask a question, Gabe?
Go ahead.
Do they tell you that what lap this race ends on? I mean, are people just not sure they have to get to lap 50, or are they thinking it could land any lap?
No, it's
you're implying that they're racing like it's the last lap, Rachel.
I am indeed implying that they're racing like it's the last lap. That went over Gabe's head a little bit, but yeah, these guys are racing like you don't win a race on lap 1. Everybody knows this. Every racer knows this. These guys are desperate almost, and it's a little dramatic.
Well, I can see why, because you're not trying to win the race on lap 1. You're trying to get up to 17th to at least get a chance. The guys who are up around the top 10, you didn't see that many problems from them because they were kind of comfortable where they were. They knew they weren't going to be able to make out the spots. But back toward the pack, those guys are getting desperate.
Yeah, and pace cars in this time, field in the hands once again, and Nick Silver will go to the wide shot here and see if everybody makes it through this time. It looks maybe 3 wide, but green flag back in the air. Silver, another fantastic restart around. No, they're gonna save it. It was looks like Joe Brissett in the 26. They'll go 3 wide behind him as they head into turn number 3, and Andrew Wooten with the big time pickup passes 2 cars.
Oh, 4 cars. Gonna get a yellow flag again, but we made a lap this time. We got a whole lap under green before they dumped each other back in the pack. And this was the 3 wide. Yeah, the 4 car back in your field all the way towards the rear, and that kind of, well, that was messy because it started in 3 and 4, and wow, it ended on the front stretch as he goes round, and it wasn't a very big tip, but it was enough.
Yeah, and it was Hunter Wright with the assist in the 29 on that one. Krahula goes around, caution back out once again. Well, right on board with the 29, but that desperation factor, this happened right around your 14th place area. So these guys kind of on the bubble right now, and it was the 29 down on the flat, actually. Turns the 4 around, caution back out, and it's going to be a long race, it looks like, because these guys not having a whole lot more luck than the guys in the first B main. So I talked to Kyle Barnes, the race administrator, at the beginning of this thing, and originally he wasn't sure if he wanted to do B mains, but everyone was worried about whether they'd make the heat or not. And he decided, you know what, we are going to do B mains, and these guys wreck out, well, they're going to be out of luck. So that's going to be the case for the 62, Justin Grosser, looks like, who believe just fallen out. So Grosser going to lose his shot at $500, and it's going to be a case where Nick Silver sitting pretty right now, Rachel, and he just needs to keep having these great restarts. He'll be fine.
Oh, absolutely. Nick Silver's in a fantastic spot. So is Will Dravicki. These guys up at the front are just, hey, keep wrecking, boys, because if you keep wrecking, you can't pass us. Because when the caution flag's out, you can't make positions. So the top guys who transfer, of course, they don't care. They're sitting pretty. They're comfortable. They're just saying to each other, let's have a nice, cool restart. Let's all be careful. Let's just make sure we stay ahead of everybody else, and we can fight amongst ourselves at the end. But it doesn't matter because they know several spots transfer, so they don't care about winning.
Yeah, well, we can see the water bottle in the car, but I don't know if these guys are cooling off a whole lot. So your top 5
well, the
right
water bottle may go out the window every other lap.
Yeah, that could be the case. Silver, Dravicki, Grosser, Burchett, and Wooten round out your top 5. Pace car in this time, and Silver going to have the field in his hand once again. Green flag back in the air, and Silver already on the loud pedal, already pulls away about a car length, and behind him they'll stack up again. But side by side for that 3rd position, Burchett not having a lot of luck, and it's going to be Wooten down to the inside trying to get more.
They're 4 wide back in the pack, or they were. They're back to 3 wide now, and they're holding it for the moment as things get quite busy up towards the wall, and some more metal gets exchanged, and panels bent out of shape deep in the pack, but cars are staying in one piece here. We might see 2 laps green flag here. No, not. Never mind.
Caution out once again, and
97.5 and 32.
Yeah, it's a trifecta of cars wrecked on the inside there. We'll take another look at the LSRTV replay, and looked like possibly, not sure, take a second look and see what happened. Actually, 5 got in the wall and already was kind of loose going in the corner, and just a little bit of a tap from the 52 there, and then looking for when it all triggered, and it looks like it was actually the 5 dives it in on the 32 and had a nose in there, and the 32 either came down or spotter didn't let him know. But either way, the 9 also going to get involved. Tommy Ryan with a little tap to him, but 3 cars wind up turned around. And the 97, it looked like Aaron Lapham tried to avoid it all and picked the wrong lane, and you hate when that happens, but wrong place to be for the 97, and he'll fall further down in your field, all the way towards the rear field. Oh, he actually got punted from the rear. Car spun out and just nowhere to go for Aaron.
Yeah, not at all. And well, I think my sarcasm meter might be going off the ringer for this one, because we're having pretty much a fist fight in the Bullring.
Yeah, can I turn the Rachel sarcasm off? Is there a Rachel sarcasm off button?
No, there isn't an off button this time of night.
Okay,
no, it's definitely no off button.
We'll turn the dial down a little bit. Yeah,
we'll try and keep it down a little bit, because we are definitely having a bullfight here at the Bullring. These guys are getting their horns out and trying to make some moves here. Of course, everyone desperate to get into those transfer spots, Cisco, and well, the track this short, aero is not a huge concern, so a couple of dings and dents and bent fenders isn't going to actually slow you down. If anything, it's a way to get past people.
Yeah, no kidding. We saw that the case earlier on with the 99. But the case going to be here. Everybody going to go 2 by 2. Another driver I've been keeping an eye on has been Eric Arnold, who's started 7th, currently running 7th. The driver of the Navy Nuke, who's, you know, made his name back in the day on LSRTV. Another driver from the Full Throttle Cup Series, Eric. We've seen him a little bit around on the short track stuff, but he's making his return and sits in a very good position. 7th. He has a straight shot at Burkett, who sits in that 5th position, that crucial position that locks you into the show. You don't have to go race the LCQ, but even then, if Arnold doesn't make it in, he still sits in a good position for that LCQ, as it seems like the guys towards your front of the field look to be all right, but you don't want to have to go that LCQ if you don't have to. But Silver, once again, fielding control, and Will Dravicki going to try and get the toe on the outside. 24-hole shot, green flag in the air once again. It's not as big of a lead this time. He's right there, the 30 of Dravicki.
He certainly is, and it's a good start this time by. Everyone getting a good one going here, and well, yeah, here we go. 40 and the 45 getting a bit of action going on down the low side as they come up the track and decide to join them and hold new dance partners this time by. Race is getting a little bit more exciting in the mid-packers. More people bumping and banging and turning. 42 round.
And there they go. That's a big one. That's a big one.
There goes the track. They said, yeah, we don't want to race. You know, we're going to bring our own caution out.
That was big, and that started all around the 42 of Huffins. And it just went on from there. I saw it. We cut to the wide shot there because I figured something might happen, and unfortunately it did. And it was Huffiness. The 42 will take a look from the chopper, and yeah, that got real sketch fast. The 52 actually got punted by the 27, and the 52 trying to lock it down, nowhere to go. And like Rachel said, track blocked and nowhere for anybody to go. I think one of the few people to get through there may have been the 25 of Boyd, and that's about it. We'll take a look right on board with him, Rachel.
Yeah, we certainly will, and that was classic whoops, track just gone completely blocked. No one's anywhere to get through, and it's one of those racing situations where there's nothing much you can do on a short track. That happens so fast.
And we already talked about this isn't the biggest track in the world here, and Boyd actually did get some damage there, but that kind of showed you how blocked the track was. And doesn't look like they're going to be letting up any time. So 20 laps to go at the line. We're past halfway. Silver, Dravicki, Wooten, Grosser, and Burkett. And now if you're Will Dravicki, you're starting to wonder, Rachel, do you even try and challenge Silver on the restart, or are you just trying to hold out to the end of this thing? And you're sitting in a transfer spot right now. So, I mean, if you pass Silver, yeah, you'll get one more starting grid spot on Sunday, but is it really worth the effort, I guess, at this point? Because he's got to worry about losing his lane.
Yeah, I'll ask you a question. How many positions transfer in this race?
Yeah, exactly. Your top 5. And I mean, like I said,
the only person who has to care is 5th.
Yeah, and
which is Patriot at the moment.
I mean, yeah, there is some pride, because if you finish 2nd, you're starting ahead of the guy who finishes 5th. Or, yeah, finishes 5th in this race. It's going to get confusing the longer we do this, but if you're Joe Burkett, do you just try and play full defense, or if there's a hole, you're going to try and go for it? Because that's another qualifying spot, Rachel.
I play blocker. If I'm in 5th place, I play blocker. I try to just not let anybody pass me, because if I race with the guys ahead, there's a chance we wreck.
Yeah,
I play full defense, and I sit on the guys behind me, I back up the corners, I make sure in a position where they can't turn me, and I play defensive, because that's the only way you're not going to let them pass you, because you bottle them up behind you, they're more likely to keep wrecking like they are doing. It's the #1 tactic to cause a caution behind you, is bottle them up. Pace car's going to be off. We're restarting on lap 33.
Yep, 17 to go at the line here for Nick Silver, and at this point, it's just bottle them up and see what happens. And Dravicki thought they were going. They were not good by Will Dravicki. He could lose 2. As they go into 1, yes, he will, and it's Andrew Wooten who has driven his way through this field up to 2nd place, and it's going to be side by side for 3rd and 5th caution.
I'm not sure where that one came out, but
Carpenter,
somewhere in the field. Carpenter goes around in turns 1 and 2. Didn't even make it a quarter of a lap. And in fact, this one I think is embarrassing, because I think it was self-inflicted. No, it wasn't. It was assisted by the 29.
And Brett
Hunter
Carpenter,
Wright, take a bow.
Yeah, more issues for him, and a little bit of a snipe there from Hunter Wright. Not sure what happened there. little bit more intentional that time, so we'll let the admins take a look at that. But yeah, the 29 dived it in, so do with that what you will. But we're gonna cut back to the live picture once again here, and sit around and pace for some more. So Nick Silver, Andrew Wooten, who's basically been on fire on these restarted, started outside, started 9th. He's running 2nd right now. And it's just been taking the opportunities, Rachel, to just take advantage and gain spots. And I like that too, Car, not just because it has LSRTV on it, but because he's been able to just get the whole shot on a bunch of these guys here tonight.
He has. And that's exactly what he needs to do in this race. You know, he's in a position where he's doing exactly what he has to do to win this thing. You talk about pride of winning. Pride has no place in a B main. Pride has no place in a last chance qualifier. You need to buckle down and just squash that racer's instinct, that pride of, I want to win this race. Sure, it'd be nice, but at the end of the day, winning this doesn't mean a thing. And I hate to quote the Fast and the Furious because it makes me feel dead inside, but what I will say is, it doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. The only race that matters is the full gig tomorrow. You win the B main, but you don't actually make it to the next one. Who cares? You know, you don't finish the main event. No one's going to care if you won the B main.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like I said, the only thing you're going to get is maybe a spot or two when you start, but at the end of the day, you didn't win the heat race, so you're not going to be up towards the front anyway. So the case is going to be Nick Silver and Andrew Wooten going to start on that front row, and then Patriot and Dravicki going to start in the 2nd row, and Eric Arnold, who's worked his way up to 5th. I told you, keep an eye on the Navy Nuke, because he's been lurking around, and I get the feeling we're going to be seeing that 31 driving through your field. So Justin Grosser, who's kind of fallen out, the South Point machine, is going to be trying to work his way back through this field, but Nick Silver field going to be in the hands of him once again, and new restart partner on the outside, it's the number 2 of Andrew Wooten. Field in the hands, and Dravicki will have to sit back and watch. Silver, when does he go? He's going to stack him up once again. That's all he needs to do. Green flag in the air, and it's going to be side by side behind him.
Certainly is, and behind them it's nice and bottled up there from about 5th, 6th place backwards. These guys all busted to get into those transfer spots, but at the same time it's staying a little more straight. Oh, it's not, of course. The second I say it's staying straighter, somebody dumps somebody, and there goes, oh, big slide by the 26. Joe Bichette nearly had a big moment there from a qualifying spot. That would have been embarrassing.
Didn't see it. We were looking at Randy Yoakum, who brought out the yellow for that one. He was kind of in the middle of this mess towards the absolute rear of your field, and a little bit of an assist from the 40 of Ozdadek. So we'll take a look on board the 40 here, but it looks like that just got to the inside once again, and yep, just hit him. So that was going into the corner there. Yoakum gets spun around, and it's the number 40 who's gonna probably get credit for that one. And we'll line them back up, and under 10 laps to go at this point, running out of racing time here. And if you're Eric Arnold or Justin Grosser, you got to start getting that defense on, because Eric Arnold sitting in that transfer position to get into the race on Sunday. Remember, 6th through 17th will still have a shot in the LCQ, but right now, Eric Arnold, Justin Grosser, that's going to be the battle to watch here.
No, absolutely, and that's the one you really want to keep an eye on, because that's the position where we're looking at the transfer between the two positions. So they are going to be the real kind of heat point, but I don't think that's going to be the most action. The most action we'll see is probably down in 23rd place. But you know, you win the race at the back.
Yeah, no kidding. This is going to be a case where it's going to be on, because Eric Arnold's going to have that preferred spot on the inside. So you almost wonder, the transfer spot might actually be in the hands of Will Dravicki, who, remember, has not had a great restart night tonight. And he's been okay so far, but being stuck on that outside with these cars the way they've been running, that's probably going to be more perilous than it will be for Eric Arnold, who will be on that inside. So if you're Will Dravicki, you also have to play a little bit of defense, because you're on the slower line on the top side. Not to mention, you have the guy gunning for that transfer position right behind you. So sparks can fly there. Wouldn't be surprised if the 62 tried to take it 3 wide or something like that, but we will get the restart, 5 to go. So unless, even I think if they wreck immediately, this thing will be over.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we'll go exactly to the end of this one if we get a caution. So we get more than a lap, which I'm hoping we get more than a lap. It's done.
We'll just have to see. Nick Silver, Andrew Wooten, Joe Burkett, Will Javicki, and Eric Arnold, your top 5. They want to move on, but can they? Field going to be in the hands one more time, and Nick Silver going to stack up the field. Green flag in the air, went a little bit early, and he got the jump on Wooten. Green flag in the air, and they're going to go single file for your top 3, and the battle's going to be between Arnold and Javicki, and there's the 56 Egan in this thing.
And 3 wide at the back, which makes me very nervous in this one as we keep it going through the start-finish line for one more lap. Whatever happens next will end this race. Who will be the guy?
It's Egan.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Who's the guy to end the race? Who does it?
I think he got it right at the timing line. We'll have to see, but I think Egan was able to edge him out. Survey says yes, he will. He will pull in front of the 30. We'll have to see when the pace car picks them up, but I believe Justin Egan timed that perfectly, and yes, he will, and he will move in, and Will Javicki will fall out of the transfer position at the last moment, and the caution there looks like more problems towards the rear field there, Rachel.
What a surprise, Cisco. You say that as though it's something we haven't seen all race long, but it is what it is. This is short track racing in very powerful cars, considering the size of this track, and honestly, I'm impressed they made it this many laps. It's a powerful car. People seem to forget this is the super late model, not the late model. This thing has some legs on it. This is 500 plus horsepower, and a car that weighs as much as a late model. It spins up its tires a lot. It's very easy to stick the nose in places it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and that we saw the incident right there. They went 3 wide, no racing room. Randy Yoakum, the number 90, I believe, of Jeremy Watkins involved as well as Ostadek. So those 3 gonna fall to the rear field, and it's gonna be Justin Egan who's gonna steal away a transfer spot at the last minute. I thought Javicki might have to worry because he was on the outside. That's exactly what happened, and it was Egan, not Grosser, who was able to take the opportunity and be able to move himself into that final transfer position. But for Nick Silver, was able to get the lead from the very beginning of this race, was able to hold on to it. So Silver, the number 24, the Santa Maria Ford machine, gonna bring it home P number 1 in the second B main on the evening and secure himself a road into the A main tomorrow. And Andrew Wooten, Joe Burkett, Eric Arnold, and Egan, Justin Egan, gonna be your top 5 who are gonna lock themselves into the A main tomorrow. The American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring. Those 5 have secured their spot into the big dance tomorrow, I guess, as it were. And we're gonna run you through your full race results here at the end of this. Nick Silver gonna bring it home on top of the podium. Andrew Wooten gonna finish 2nd. Burkett gonna finish 3rd. Eric Arnold gonna finish 4th. Justin Egan gonna finish 5th. Will Javicki, first car not to lock it in. He'll head to the LCQ with Galvin, Shinowski, Neer, and Ryan rounding out your top 10.
Lowry in P11 tonight with Grosser in 12th place. Day, Cox, Karula in 15th place with Aaron Lapham in 16th. Rocky Boyd, Garrett Toughness, and Jeremy Watkins and Mal Jewell in 20th place.
21st gonna go to Matt Ostadek, Randy Yoakum, and then Hunter Wright, Brant Carpenter, Tony Boyd, and Tristan Lessick gonna round out your field here from the Bullring. We're gonna step aside. We're hoping we got the wrecking out of the way, but we'll just have to see. 100 laps of LCQ coming up next here on LSRTV. You're watching Patriot Fire qualifying day for the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring right here on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. We'll be right back. One race to go here.
driving the number 20 JGR Toyota Xfinity car this weekend. Really great opportunity here at New Hampshire at my home track. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been on iRacing, practicing a little bit here and there with the modified and the NASCAR Xfinity car, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great tool for me to kind of get used to that stock car body again and be prepared for the race today. Well, yeah, it's a mile long, so the draft kind of plays into effect here with the modifieds, punches a big hole in the air, and we run restrictor plates. So it makes a big difference. Just really fast, and it's our Daytona. So that's what's great about it, and we have a fast car for tomorrow. I think the biggest thing is they're heavier cars. The tire's a lot different, and the way you go about setting them up's a lot different. They use all 4 tires more than a modified, where we typically drive off the right rear, you know, so. Well, actually, it's funny. I raced NASCAR race in 2003 before iRacing came about. And then when iRacing came about, my friend Kevin Iannarelli, who works at iRacing, kind of told me, hey man, you need to switch over to this. And when I did, I was like, oh my God, this is like real life. So I started using it as a tool of mine to really prepare for modified races, whether it was Stafford or Thompson or Loudon, Bristol. And then obviously the Xfinity Series last year, going to road courses, trying to get laps, and use it as a tool that can get me as prepared as I could be without actually doing it. So it's been great.
Welcome back live to the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The sun has gone down, the lights have come on, and with the help of a full moon, we are set for the final race of Patriot Fire Qualifying Day. Happy that you're with us at LSRTV and iRacing live through 8 heat races, 2 B mains, and to what I would argue is the main attraction for this evening, the last chance qualifier. Drivers desperate in the B main just moments ago. Everybody's 17th and lower, you're going home. You don't even get one more shot at it. So we are left with this final group of drivers only 4 of them are going to have an opportunity to race in tomorrow's battle at the Bullring. A shot at over $1,000 in purse money. The rest of the drivers will as well be headed home. We're happy though that you're hanging out with us, as I noted, myself, Evan Pasoko, Rachel White, Francisco Scaramouche, Trevor Valderrama, all with you this evening. And we head into this one, the longest race on the evening, Rachel, and a little bit of a smaller field size than what we saw in those B mains, but the transfer positions go from 5 to 4. So there's still going to be some desperation, but I think a little bit of a smaller car count and a little bit more laps means that this race has an opportunity to become at least a little bit more strategical than the last one.
Some strategy would be a nice start for this one, Evan, as we get ready for the last chance qualifier, and I think some people are going to see this as definitely the last chance. This is going to be a bit of a brave race, I think, as much as the law is being laid down for drivers right now by race control, and as they know this is the last shot they have. Well, the total race time for this is 1 hour 30 minutes. There's 100 laps. We might actually get to that point. It could be a lengthy race, although I think people may try to play it smarter, as this is their literal last chance.
And something else to keep in mind is, you know, and I pointed it out at the start of the B mains as well, Trevin, as we went from daytime conditions to evening conditions. This is full-on nighttime conditions, so the racetrack's a lot cooler. The rubber's going to be sticking down a little bit more over the course of a longer race, so it does change things compared to what we've seen up until this point.
Yeah, absolutely. We have different conditions now as what we did have earlier. So it's going to change the way these drivers are going to run around this racetrack. It could change the way that, you know, you could see a topside groove come in. It could happen. And also, this is 100 laps of racing. Your tires could fall off by the end of this thing. We've only had 25 and 50 laps. Tires could come into a factor at the end of this race. So you have to watch for that as well. And I think we got a full moon out tonight.
See how it shakes out. Let's introduce you to the drivers who are fighting for their lives. We look top to bottom at the LSRTV starting grid. AJ Rogers will start this one from pole position in the number 17 car, and he will be joined on the front row by the 30 of Will Javicki. Jason Galvin, a rough and tough of opening to his evening, will find him third in the LCQ, with Jacob Harper's alongside in P4, and then behind them, rounding out your top 5 inside row 3, the 88 of Matt Shadowski.
P6 goes to the 21 machine of Donovan Barr. P7, Blake Neer. P8 goes to Jeff Gao. P9 goes to Tommy Ryan, and rounding out your top 10, Jody Green.
And continuing down through 11th position is Kenny Lowry. Sebastian Taylor is 12th. Justin Grosser in 13th. Jim George 14th, and Jason Day 15th.
Craig Hawkins, P16. P17 goes to Joshua Cox. Tyler DiVenzo goes to P18. P19, James Krahula. And P20, Tyler Dalton.
And that'll cycle everybody out in this one with Lapham, Humble, and Boyd. 21, 22, and 23. That is a complete look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results starting grid. It's on my mind because if you're just getting with us, the results of all the heat races and the B-mains are on our Twitter at LSRTV. We've been tweeting along as the night's gone on. I encourage you to keep with us not only today over there, but also into tomorrow's coverage. But we've got 4 more drivers who've got a shot at $500. What names are going to fill those slots? Green flag flies, and we go racing for 100 laps at the LCQ. Rogers to the race lead at Galvin, a quick challenge for P2.
Nice start by the field so far, and things looking tight but fair here at the last chance qualifier, as drivers spreading out fairly quickly here. Different spread of speeds amongst these cars. Rogers, of course, a huge jump at the front, massive one for him. Back of the pack, things looking pretty calm actually.
See some separation amongst the top couple of spots. The 30's got problems though. It's Javicki into the outside wall. Caution flag is out. Everybody up front was going good, and then the 30 machine of Javicki got hit. I think the 88 machine squeezed him up a little bit. That was Shadowski, who was really just following Galvin in front of him, and Javicki gets tapped, and I don't know why the 30 lost so much speed. I don't know if he lifted to avoid the contact, but the 30 just drops the anchor in front of both the 14 at Ear and the 80 at Harper's, and they tag him, and he goes for a ride. And somebody who started in a position that would get them into the event tomorrow, that looks like that their hopes trying to take home that big check now are done.
and Tyler DiVinzano pulls the car behind the wall, so that would be the end to his night. But that just got to be a heartbreaker so far. You already have Jeff Gow, Joshua Cox, and then Tyler DiVinzano already a lap down, so that's gonna hurt them a lot. Now Jeff Gow goes behind the wall, so early incident on, and it's just gonna be a bad start to their day.
Unfortunately, you know, for Gow, for Cox, and for DiVinzano, they're done, and their nights are over again. Could have been worse. You could have been eliminated again. In the heat races, if you didn't transfer, you just got kicked to the B main. Those last 2 races were the first couple of ones where we actually sent folks home. Top 5 advanced, and then 6th through 17th position were sent down here to the you know, to the LCQ. Everybody else out, done, not in this race. They are going home, and they're going to be sitting on the sidelines. Encourage them to tune in with us tomorrow, but a tough break for them. So sending another group of drivers home in this one. Unfortunately, looks like those 3 drivers, even 4 now, as Will Trafficki ends up dropping off of the lead lap after starting in 2nd. Join that list of drivers who find themselves on the outside looking in. That accident, though, up front brings new drivers into the top 5. Blake and Ear going to jump up to 4th, and Donovan Barr going to jump up to P5. So a couple of drivers who weren't top 5 are now in a transfer position early on in this race. And again, for the guys that are like way at the back, Rachel, they kind of have to strike a balance of fighting hard to be able to work their way up, while at the same time, you know, getting in a spot where they're not putting themselves in a dangerous position. For the guys up front, if you can get somebody to rack out in front of you, and this goes back to what you and Cisco were talking about in the last one, you don't need to win the LCQ, just protect those top couple of spots. And I think it's a little bit easier for the guys in rows 1 and 2 than it would be for 3rd row, because that's where 5th and 6th get split up, and that's where I'm sure things get exciting.
Well, this is like our usual haunt, Evan, here as Super Speedway Racing, once the pace car pulls in there. You're in the first few rows, there's less cars in front of you to hit, so it's a much calmer race in general as they're going to come through the 3 and 4 here. Get ready for that restart on that right.
If Rogers can get another good jump as he is able to jump out in front, and the green flag is in the air as he pulls 2-3 car lengths to the 42 of Jason Galvin. And Galvin in the 42 car safely moving into 2nd spot. It's going to be the 88 of Shadowski, and contact behind. It's Barr who's spinning, and a yellow flag is out. Barr is able to hang on to it, and the car that goes around behind him was the 6 car of Tommy Ryan.
That 80 machine of Jacob Harbert just gets into that 14 of Blake Neer, and around they went, and then just chaos ensued behind them. It's going to be hard to avoid all these wrecks that keep on happening on the speedway, because it's a very tight track, and you know, it's just going to be basically a parking lot by the time they're done with it.
Can't tell you how many times I've seen a car end up into the outside wall just like that, up against the stockyard in 3 and 4 at the Bullring, and this time it happens on the sim side of things to Tommy Ryan. Fast car, starts in a good position, finds himself at an early wreck, and finds himself at a, you know, against a massive odds to be able to come back with damage. That incident's going to find him dropping back to 19th position in the running order. So a tough break for him, but as always, if somebody has problems, somebody's there to benefit. And Jim George, Rachel, started 14th in this race. We're 11 laps in, he's P5.
Yeah, he's in a great place here to get himself through, and that's what he needs to do. Jim George pushing hard in this one. He had a rough B main, but he's taken advantage in this one. He's learned his lessons, I think.
A lot of big movers with him: Jody Green, Jason Day, Kenny Lowry, James Krahula, Sebastian Taylor, and Tyler Dalton, old drivers who started outside of the top 10. They occupy in line behind Jim George, 5th through 11th position at the moment. Harbert's in that 80 machine is down in 12th after starting 4th. Again, though, the problem is if you get involved in an accident early, you could look at it in one of 2 ways. You could say, well, I'd rather wreck early than late. Not sure that's necessarily what you want to think. You don't want to wreck at all, but there's going to be, statistically speaking, less yellows later in the race driving. So if you find yourself in an issue now and then way at the back of the pack, then you're going to be at the disadvantage when other people start making mistakes later on in the race. So, you know, there's never any positives to finding yourself in the outside wall. Let's make a blanket statement with that. But I think that even if that car's heavily damaged, you just kind of have to stick with it, and you can't you know, you can't kind of throw it in. You have to tough it out. 100 laps is a lot of time, to be able to, if you're not making something happen, in the case like a Jim George, keep the car clean and see if the cards kind of fall in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to, find the balance between fighting for position but not wrecking. It's going to be interesting to see all night long as we're coming to the restart, Evan.
17's going to be in control again. AJ Rogers inside, another good jump, and he'll rocket to the race lead. And lap number 15, it is going to be Galvin again, comfortably second. We're 3 wide behind, and the 51 of Jim George was just talking about how good the 51 worked his way through the field. He tried to fit that car in a spot that was not there. He cut off the 13 of Jody Green. He got turned, and he's out of this thing now as we stay green.
He certainly is.
I was looking a little bit further back on that restart, and 45, 80, and 4 got 3 wide. That's Harberts, Lowry, and Krahula got all 3 wide coming into that restart there, and they all kept it straight, and they're all still keep on going. So that was an awesome move by them. So here we go, coming around on lap number 19, coming to 20. AJ Rogers still with a good sizable lead between him and Galvin. So we'll have to watch for that, see how close he can get to him. And this is they're in the top 4, so they're good, but they still want to get that position going, and we're going to have to watch all the way back, as you see the number 25 having a little bit of problems coming out of turn 4. Just a bad entrance and a bad exit.
And we're watching a battle for the transfer spot. This fight for 4th has been going on for a couple of laps. Donovan Barr gets in front of Justin Grosser, so he picks up the number 4 spot. It's Grosser back to 5th, and that is the final transfer position, and he has Jason Day on him. Jason Day's got Jody Green on him, and so on and so forth, with Jacob Harberts funding his way back up to 8th, and Sebastian Taylor right there in 9th position as well. So the fight for the final ticket into tomorrow's main event is between that 62 and the 20, and they're nose to tail right now for 5th and 6th.
It's a tight battle going all the way around from P4 on back. Barr gonna have to hold back 4 cars essentially, and it's just going to be a hard fight all the way to the end. He knows what he has to get done, and he knows he has a certain amount of time to get it done. 100 laps doesn't seem like a lot, seems like a lot, but on a short track that's only 0.38 of a mile, it's going to be a relatively short race in the perspective of things, but a long race on this track.
And fighting continues on. Looks like this one's going to break out into a little bit of a green flag run, with 19 of the 23 cars that started this race still up front on the lead lap, so no issues for a majority of the field. A couple of drivers involved in some of those earlier yellows were kind of guys involved in multiple accidents, as unlucky as you can get, probably. Side by side, deeper in the pack for 7th. Here comes Jacob Harberts, the number 80 car. Up the inside on the 13 of Jody Green. They're going to go side by side for that spot, and the 80 car is going to get another one. So Jody Green loses a spot to Harberts, who dropped it back from contact, but he is marching right back up front. Now 2 spots out of the top 5 again.
The number 62 looking to get around Barr coming into turn number 3. He's just looking all around, trying to find out where he is and making adjustments to find a way around, because this is a transfer position. It's all a hornet's nest right behind that transfer position, so all these drivers are looking just to get around. You see Day going below Grosser now, door to door in the corner, but Grosser able to come out on top on the high side. Ooh, a little bit of contact. Now the 62 is around into a different car.
And Justin Grosser is going to get wrecked for the final transfer spot. It was the 20 car of Jason Day, got the inside positioning, and the 62 pitched him an awful lot, but that 20 car either got back to the gas too soon or just drove it in too hard, and he pushed up, and that 62 looped around real fast. Grosser in front of traffic gets a tap for the 13 of Jody Green, and Grosser is going to go from 1 position in to being 14 positions on the outside, as he will fall all the way to the tail end of the lead lap in 19th with the yellow.
Another hard break for all these drivers out here. You know, you're just trying so hard to get to that transfer position. But, you know, when you race, again, finding that balance of pushing hard, but not hard enough to where you're going to wreck. It's just going to be a hard balance to find all night tonight and then all day tomorrow during the main event. So we're going to have to watch for that throughout the drivers, and Justin Grosser was given an EOL penalty for that incident right there. So that's going to move him to the back of the pack. But now we still have Donovan Barr holding that 4th position coming to lap 34.
And just kind of taking a look at, you know, drivers who have found themselves falling back, the likes of Blake Kinnear, Tommy Ryan, most recently, as noted, driver who was just turned around, Grosser. You've also got the likes of Dravicki, Harbers, as we noted, guys who have started this race up front but dropped out. However, that big insurgence of about 6-7 cars we were talking about a little bit earlier, guys who had worked their way from way back to way up, it's kind of simmered down a little bit. You got Rogers leading this race, who started on pole. Galvin in second, who started 3rd. Shadowski, who started 3rd, or sorry, who started 5th, who's 3rd, excuse me. Donovan Barr, who gone 6th to 4th, and Jacob Harbert's 4th to 5. So all of a sudden, the top 5 is no longer this big conglomeration of a bunch of guys from all over the place. It's all guys who started top 6. Which you would think the longer the race goes, Trippin, the more it would get shuffled up, but they've kind of got their feet back underneath them in these last couple of laps, and that's really aided by Harbert's march back up to the front. The 80's done an incredible job after wrecking to make his way back into the top 10, and now back into the top 5 in a temporary transfer spot.
Absolutely. As I noted, that last restart, there was a 3-wide race going into turn 3 that involved that number 80 machine, Jacob Harbert, and you can totally see the sense of urgency that that driver has for the rest of this race. He wants to get back up into the front, and you notice that all these drivers are coming from the back up to the front, so have to watch for that going to the restart.
American Ethanol green flag flies again, and it is a good jump for Rogers. So far, relatively uncontested on the restarts. He'll lead. It'll be Gavin again to P2, Shadowski to 3rd, and the fight's going to be for P4. Here comes Harberts. He wants more. He's got it. He'll go to 4th, and look at the 92. Sebastian Taylor going to get a transfer spot because the 21 Donovan Barr got moved up and out of the way, and he will fall to 7th.
Jason Krahula absolutely rammed Donovan Barr out of the way, but that really didn't aid the number 4 R21 in any way. That just gave room for 3 other cars. Now the 21 of Donovan Barr moved the 43 machine, excuse me, that's number 45 of Kenny Lowry. He's gonna want to get back up to the front now. He is a little bit upset, I'd say. You know, short track tempers are flaring. He's gonna want to get back up to that 4th position that he had. You see Jacob Harbert already back up to where he started.
But he continues to fight in this one, but single filing out now for one of the first times this evening. We had a battle for the race late. Look at Jason Galvin taking a nose to the inside on Rogers, and the 17 gave him space, saw the nose, moved up, and the 42's got the inside positioning, but he hasn't been able to actually get there side by side yet. Now a hard driving 1 and 2. And the 42 car is now there, and we are side by side. It's been all AJ Rogers through the first 40, but at 41, new race leader Jason Galvin now out in front.
Coming at 42, new leader, but now that number 80 machine of Harbert's contesting AJ Roberts as well. Or excuse me.
Oh, so let's spin.
AJ Rogers.
Let the 45 go around, the 14 spun in sympathy behind him. Both cars continue with no damage, but, well, they've just had a moment and brought out another one.
There's Blake Kinnear in the 14 car, and the self-spin was in front of him. That was the 45 car who lost it at a turn number 4. That was Kenny Lowry, who was cheating at curbing just a little bit too much. And I don't know if Blake Kinnear was checking up because he saw the spin, but he got hit by the 51 machine, and it didn't really spin him out, but it kind of punted him offline right in direction of the spinning 45 machine, and that's how Blake Kinnear gets involved as well. And we go back under caution flag conditions, now working at lap number 44 of 100. But the big thing there was Galvin goes to the race lead. It'll be Harberts to 2nd, Rogers now your pole sitter 3rd, and Sebastian Taylor really took advantage of the last restart up to P4, currently sitting in the final transfer position with Matt Shadowski and Donovan Barr, 2 guys who were in on the last restart, are now on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, excuse me, Rachel. As I was talking earlier, the drivers coming from the back are up to the front now. Just anything that could happen will happen at a short track. We saw it happen earlier on in the heat races. A driver coming from 9th position went all the way up to the transfer position. So it's possible, you know, you start from the back of the pack, not all hope is lost. You know, this is short track racing, anything can happen.
We definitely have seen a lot of everything, to say the least, so far tonight, and in fact, obviously, that the later you get in this race, the less cars are on track, more separation means that things are only going to get more and more exciting. The higher up the scoring pylon you look, just checking out the lights on top of the pace car, and they will stay on. So at least 2 more times around. Going to bring us basically right to the halfway point in this LCQ. If we get a yellow once we cross lap 50, we'll give you an opportunity to take a look top to bottom at your iRacing midway race break, if that so happens. But a good green flag stretch that last time. Again, the 42 really worked it to his advantage. But with the continuing shuffling of these running orders, and now all of a sudden with Donovan Barr having come down and had some sort of an issue under yellow, he was scored P6. He's now scored P16. So his night just got even more chaotic.
Certainly did, and well, this race is shaking up a fair bit as the pace car leads him through 1 and 2 this time by. For a restart here, he'll be on 40, onto 49, I should say. Field, well, it's definitely being filtered through. Leader now will be, of course, Galvin, Halberts, Rogers, and Taylor. Let's get it going.
Going to be 10 on each other's door. It's going to be the first time Jason Galvin has brought us to a green flag tonight. What can he do with it as the green flag comes out? He's clear to turn 1, and Harbert's with a smart decision to tuck in line, but he will spin. Caution flag is out. Harbert's is in it as well as Aaron Lapham in the 97, but how about that? Jacob Harbert's went to P2, and the 17 machine was trying to shut that door, saw the 80 coming, and Trevin, he got a punt.
Absolutely, he got a punt. You know, all these drivers are just fighting so hard to get to position, and it just went over the line, and the 80 just went around. He fought so hard to get back up to that 4th position, and then he got into 2nd position, and now he got punted by AJ Rogers. That brings him all the way back down to 10th position. I'm sure he's very frustrated and maybe wants to get back after that, and that just caused a mad chaos behind them.
Another time this evening, you can chalk it up on the board that somebody from the top 5 in this race has found themselves in issues, and James Krahula's the next guy in line. Started 19th position in this race, is now running 4th, just past halfway.
I was just going to say, Evan, that I don't understand that incident, because AJ Rogers was in a safe spot. Why did he have to go in super deep? He knew he wasn't going to get a second out of that unless he just didn't break into the corner. So it's a kind of an interesting predicament to put yourselves in when these guys are pushing so hard and can't switch that off. That he was in a safe spot, and that kind of really jeopardized things.
Well, we've seen drivers get pinned topside and it go downhill, and I think it was I think he thought he had room, and I think he did have room to go down. I don't think he was anticipating the hard entry by the driver who was on the inside of the row next to him to come down and shut the door from the 17 car of AJ Rogers, who also ended up spinning out in all of that after being near the start of where everything happened, because Rogers now finds himself as the cause of that all the way at the back of the pack now in 18th position. So your pole sitter is at the back, and that'll mean that Krahula now jumps up to 3rd, and Jim George is back in it. The 51 has had an up and down LCQ. He's back inside of the top 4 at lap 53.
Absolutely, and also 19th all the way up to 3rd, and then 23rd is right outside of that transfer position, followed by the P20 and then P22. So don't count anybody out of this race just yet, even the person in 18th position. That's Aaron Lampin. Anything can happen in short track racing, and we are seeing that right now.
You have to wonder, if you're Galvin, if you're Shinosky, you've been thinking and you've been told by us barely all night long, the further up to the front you are, the safer you are. There's only, I don't know, you look at the top 10 right now, only 4 drivers total actually that started top 10 that are running top 10 at the moment. May not have been as of much of a safe haven we were led to believe in some of the earlier heat races, and even in those B mains that were chaotic top to bottom, the guys up front relatively okay, and it was the folks back outside of the top 20s in the full elimination positions found themselves in those desperate positions. Let's do it again though. 55 down, 45 to go. Good jump by Galvin. This time at Shadowski though, pin top side, nowhere to go. Here comes Krahula to the inside for second.
It's a good start there by the front group here as things do filter out a little bit more, as getting bumpy back in the about 6 and back positions as some more shenanigans towards the rear of your field, but things straighten out. Oh no, they're going around again.
Caution of flying will fly side by side for second. Shadowski to maintain. It'll be Krahula dropping to third, and I think Jim George will stay fourth as that fight raged on, but issues back in the pack. And trying to find the cause of that one. Looked like it was the 62 machine of Justin Grosser. To be fair, the 6 looks like a 2 because the sheet metal is a little bit torn up. This is another one of those cases we saw earlier. Trevin didn't really wreck. He saved it, but the car was so sideways that it triggers the caution flag to come out, which is a tough break.
Yeah, it is a tough break indeed, and you have that car saved. You're like, oh, I just made a great save, and the caution comes out, and you're like, well, at least I get to line him back up. And it's, again, you were talking in the B main first race. These drivers get to group back up, and this gives another chance to all the drivers in the back of the pack. But at the same time, this takes off a big chunk of laps that you are not going to be able to run full speed at and make passes in. So it's a benefit and a disadvantage at the same time.
Right under the yellow with 18 cars on the lead lap. Top 10 as they run now is Jason Galvin, James Krahula, Matt Shadowski, Jim George, Rocky Boyd, Mark Humble, Tyler Dalton, Jacob Harberts, Tommy Ryan, and Donovan Barr. All the way through the cars on the lead lap. It'll shuffle things up. Ryan's going to go to 9. It'll be Lowry 10. And then Day 11, Rogers 12, Taylor 13, Grosser in 14th. With Lapham in 15th, Hawkins 16th, 17th, Blake Neer, and then Donovan Barr gets the penalty for that one, and he will drop down to 18th position. That's a look at how they run top to bottom in your running order on the lead lap at the moment. Past the halfway point, though, so going to counting things down towards the end in this one, and again, waiting for something else to happen. And I think Shadowski kind of got bailed out on that one because, Rachel, he was stuck outside. The 4 got to his bottom. Krahula's going to go to second. And there was a lot of cars ready to fight the 88. Yellow came out. He now ends up on the inside for the restart. Could be a saving grace.
Certainly could be, of course. And while this one will shake out in an interesting manner, laps are starting to wind down, surprisingly, for tonight. As we start to get towards the second half of this thing, second, third even. And, well, the race is filtering through. Galvin definitely holding his position up at the front for now. Had a great restart last time. Krahula needs to get a good one on the outside. It could be really, really problematic for him, but got to keep an eye on what Shimoski can do, or Shimoski can do on the inside.
Find out again, pace car down and in. It'll be 38 laps to go, and Ola qualifying day. Again, only 4 drivers from this race going to get into tomorrow's battle at the Bullring. Pace car's gone down. A restart for the 42. Galvin's gone, and it is a poor restart for the 88. Look at the 51 of Jim George. Inside to out. Now he'll go up the inside of Krahula from 4th to 3rd, and now 3rd, maybe to 2nd.
That was a absolute bad restart on that bottom line. That just opened up the door for everybody on that top line. That's what made Jim George able to come to that bottom side and take away that position. Now he's all the way up in the second, coming from 14th position. So no, not everybody is out, but you have a little bit of a mad scramble between Harberts and Humble. Had a little bit of contact, excuse me, that's Boyd. Had a little bit of contact, got him up in the air, or up in the high side a little bit, but everything going straight and smooth so far. Looking up towards the front, everything's single file. Jason Galvin able to clear a little bit and set sail and try to keep Jim George at bay.
Saw the move that Harbert's put on Boyd. That was for 5th, which is not the final transfer spot. That's currently occupied by the 4 car in P4 to Krahula, but he's definitely feeling the pressure. You have to think that Krahula, who started 19th, just hasn't had as good as a night as Harbert's has, who started 4th. Maybe not as good of a car, but the 80's got damage to the inside for the final transfer spot. The 80 machine has got it. Jacob Harberts moves into 4th position at lap 68.
Not just that, Jim George to the sharp end of this one, gets past Jason Galvin. and starts to actually pull away here as Galvin seems to be having a little bit of trouble. 88 coming for Galvin as well, so we're getting some shake-up at the front. And what is shaping up to be our longest run so far?
The 80 machine keeps on going. It's old Jim George. He's made a pair of fantastic moves. I know he said he kind of got lented into in a transfer position from earlier on in this race, but that move outside to in and then dive it all the way to the inside and then the move on Galvin. Jim George maybe just wants this more than anybody else, and he's pulled now half a second, now 0.6 of a second on Jason Galvin P2. But again, second, no problem. Third, no problem. Fourth is where things are still a little bit dicey, but I think Harberts is fast enough to pull away from what James Krahula has at the moment, and that those folks fifth on the back might need another yellow to shake things up, because we are starting to see third and fourth and fifth, I should say.
Well, there you go.
Further and further apart.
You got what you wanted. 45 goes round. Almost as if you asked for it, Evan. They delivered. Somebody must be watching the broadcast, because the 45 came down and, well, the 14 decided, I don't want to break. So Blake near, well, he was a little too near, unfortunately.
Pass on the memo to Krahula and P5. I'll send my your welcomes, and I'll let them know what my Venmo is or whatever. Take any sort of donation on that one. It was a tough break for the 45, and that was very similar, Trevin, to what we saw 2 times ago up front, making a move on the front road, trying to get down to the inside. And yes, on the straightaway, there's a car length of room, but you have to know that guy's going to be driving in harder, and the 45 comes down on the 14. The 14 drives it on the 45. I think both of those guys are equally at fault, because you gotta know what each other's doing. I think there's no doubt that guy's going into that hole, and there's no doubt that guy's going to try to block him, and there's no other way if both drivers do that ends any differently.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's just he just went for the hole that wasn't there, and maybe lit a little bit too hard into the corner and got up into him. You know, it's just hard fighting all night long. That's just gonna happen. You know, these guys coming from the back of the pack are seeing, hey, these guys earlier on were able to come from the back to the front, so maybe I had that same chance. I should not give up. I should just race harder and harder. And again, that balance just went too far.
And it'll be a tough break for Blake Neer there, who was the driver who was on the inside of the racetrack there, and he will get his second strike in all of that. Again, the 45 had a decent amount of positioning there, and I think the 14 machine could literally make, could make a legitimate argument that he was not to blame in that one. But I think at the end of the day, you have to, be responsible for what your race car is, and at least in part, you're partly responsible for what happened there, either 50-50 or a little bit more either way. And since that is his second incident, Blake Neer's evening is done. He has been given the black flag. 2 incidents. That'll be a park, and his hopes of racing for the $500 prize tomorrow are no longer existent. Good news is we broke it all down. It's perfect time to buckle up and do it again. 77 laps going to be down. Restart will be with 23 to go.
Yeah, it's coming down to the final stage of this race, and I'm sure all these drivers know how many laps they have and how many more laps they have to make something happen to get themselves inside the top 4, because you're not just racing for that win, you're racing for the top 4 positions. So it's going to be different all night long.
Green flag this time by. Watch the first couple of rows. Going to be side by side. Galvin and George. The 42 put it up a decent fight to go to the race lead. Not going to happen. Caution.
97, who didn't start and decided to play pool with a few of the cars behind and in front. He started, hit the back of the 28, got hit at the back by the 58, and then went round for his trouble. So not his race, really.
Yeah, he got checked up, got into the back of the 20, and then it was the 92 with Sebastian Taylor, who was kind of not really on his inside and kind of in like a non-existent third lane. The 97 was in line with the top, and the car on the inside of Sebastian, the 25, was in line with the cars at the bottom, and he's kind of in a non-existent lane there, and it's a tough break because unless the 97 is going to just move out of your way, which isn't something that typically happens in LCQ racing, the 97 really didn't have anywhere to go. And when you get somebody, even the slightest bit that they did on the left rear quarter panel, not a whole lot you can do about it. And another yellow flag off of a restart lets us rack them and stack them once more. And have another opportunity to go at it, and you have to think these are excruciating, Trevin, for the likes of Shadowski and for Harbert, Shadowski and Harbert, because you got Krahula, Boyd all over you, and I think that under green flag conditions, they're faster. But that doesn't mean anything if you're going to go to these restarts. Now, I think the next one's going to be single file, which is going to be a big advantage to them, but still, any invitation to let somebody right up on my back bumper, I am not a fan of.
Not only is it bad for Shinowski and Harberts, it's bad for Krahula and Boyd, because they also want to get themselves into that 4th spot, but they can't do it if they keep on pacing, so it's just absolutely killing them. They're gonna, Shinowski and Harberts are just gonna have to keep on fighting when it comes to the green flag racing and keep them off, and maybe just hold on to them a little bit longer, because we are coming down to less than 20 to go, maybe close to 15 to go once we get the restart. But these drivers behind them, Krahula, Boyd, Ryan, and Humble, they still have a good chance at getting into that transfer position, and it's just absolutely killing them when they see that yellow flag come out, because they can't really race up any further, and they just have to stop and just keep on pacing.
And it looks like with 82 laps down, we have an opportunity, maybe 2-3 more restarts in this one. That would be kind of similar to how we saw the B-mains end. A lot more green flag racing in this race. Green flag stretch earlier on, about 20-25 laps long. And of course, we've seen some fantastic moves up front, including by that of your current race leader, Jim George, who's been able to hold off Galvin on the last couple of restarts. But I don't think that it's, Krahula's not going to use a bumper for a shot at, $1,000 purse. I mean, this is a thing where you cannot put yourself in a position to get hit. Now, if you get wrecked, you still have every right to be mad that somebody wrecked you. But you also have to do everything that you can to not let somebody do that. Do not even give them a shot in the dark at the Chevy emblem on the center of your back bumper, or you have to expect that something like that's going to be coming on a short track race. We'll find this one out, though. It's going to be a single file restart. Jim George is gone. 2-3 car lengths. Galvin easy 2. Shadowski's still 3rd. It's Harpert's in 4th, and he's pulling from Krahula. They'll fight behind P6.
Yeah, they certainly will, and they're trying to have another wreck. I think they really want one. The 11 and the 6 would have trading some paint back there, as this one is a vastly reduced field from what we saw, and the single file might be helping actually at this point, as it's kind of reducing the derp we've been seeing so far. Jim George doing a fantastic job of this one. Himself, Galvin, Shinowski, and Halbert's in good spots here to transfer. Of course, the 4 just on the outside there. Krahula, he wants in. Can he go? Oh, there we go. There's another. No,
that's the
not
17 of AJ Rogers. He's going to come to a stop. So far, no yellow. And he's going to get the quick toe out, so we're not going to see a yellow. He got all kinds of sideways after he got hit off of the turn 4 with the 19 car, and he drifted all of 1 and 2. Does end up hitting the outside wall and coming to a stop. No car spun, so no caution. We're still green, coming to 11 laps to go. Jim George pull it away, half a second.
Krahula and Boyd know what they need to get done, and they need to get it done quickly if they want a shot at the $500 tomorrow. They're closing the gap a little bit out of a time, but I don't know if they have enough laps to get it done. We are on lap 90 out of 100. It's getting very, very close, cutting it close, rather. The only thing that could really happen is if the 00 and 8 really make, or the 80 and 88 make contact, and but they're going side by side right now. 80 seems to be taking that position away with ease, so we'll see if Krahula or Boyd can catch him at Shinowski.
Shinowski is still in that final transfer position. James Krahula running in the number 5 spot as they run at the moment. Again, things have really worked out for Jacob Harperts, who had a wreck early and he was able to work back to the field. The damage was not too much to overcome, and he's a top 3 car by far and should be competitive tomorrow night when he's got a brand new race car all fixed up for the main event and the 350 lap main event at that. I don't think that James Krahula's got 0.8 of a second just sitting in the passenger seat of the number 4 Chevy Camaro. If he does, now's the time to show it. There's not a lot of time left.
He's doing his best, but there is not much time, as you mentioned. He's running out very quickly, and we might even see a green flag end to this thing, as these guys are really spread out at this point. almost too far to reach each other to turn each other. So unless someone has a self-derp, which we really haven't seen all day long, this could be a green flag end, which would be amazing.
See if the 51's able to continue to pull. He's half a second in front of Galvin, and again, no reason for Galvin to mess anything up. No reason for Harpers to try to stir anything up, and same with Shinovsky. You know, they have a big enough a gap at the moment that just ride where you are, and Krahula's tight with Boyd and Ryan, and sure, you can fight for 6th and 7th. This Ryan's going to go to the inside of Boyd for that spot, but it doesn't mean anything. All those spots are going home, and they're really going at it now as the 6 gets put in the wall.
It's getting
there he goes.
Yeah, there it is, and that will end the race with that. And
he was headhunting. He and the 11 were trading paint, and the 11 hit him one more time, and that's what ticked the 6 off. He hit him one. They were side by side, and he hit him on the straightaway. Hit him one more time, and Tommy Ryan was headhunting. The problem is that 11 kind of used the 20 as a bodyguard, and Tommy Ryan spins himself out going after the 11.
He certainly did, and well, that has wrapped it up, almost as we just threatened a green flag end to this. We'll end behind the pace car, very securely this time, and well, our top 4 locked in.
51 machine will tuck in line behind the pace car. Not sure it's really much more comfortably than what he already had at that half a second advantage, but Jim George, for as rough as the heats and the B mains went for him, and you know, maybe one of the lesser known names in this thing, he put on a show and is very much deserving of the result of this, as he's going to come at turn number 4, and he will collect the American Ethanol green flag, rather the checkered flag, after taking the green flag from 14th position. Takes the checkered flag and is the second, actually I think if we look all the way back to the heats, is the biggest position gain out of anybody tonight for a race winner on Patriot Fire qualifying night. So a tip of the cap to Jim George for that one. Took the green flag back in 14th on a route to the win.
Gotta be one to watch, Evan. That's impressive. Big climb. That means this guy really wants this thing, and he's got to be one we keep an eye out for in the main tomorrow.
Doing his burnout celebrations on the front straightaway. Let's take a look at your full race results from tonight's last chance qualifier. Jim George is your winner tonight. Second position goes to Jason Galvin. Jacob Harperts is 3rd, and Matt Shinovsky is 4th. Those are your transferees, and they will join the rest of the field for tomorrow's battle at the Bullring right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. P5 goes to the number 4, James Krahula. Rocky Boyd in P6. Jason Day comes home 7th with Mark Humble, Donovan Barr, and Tyler Dalton rounding out your top 10.
P11 tonight is Sebastian Taylor with Justin Grosser, Aaron Lapham, Craig Hawkins, Tommy Ryan, Kenny Lowry, AJ Rogers, Blake Neer, Jody Green, and Will DeVicki in 20th. Last 3 cars, Joshua Cox, Jeff Gow, and Tyler Divanazzo.
That's a complete look top to bottom at your full race results in the LCQ. Let's run over what the field is going to look like tomorrow when the sun comes back up on the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, Heat Race 1, Matt Cooker and Christian Peterson. From Heat Race 2, Jimmy Mullis and Justin Trombley. From Heat Race 3, Michael Beavish and William Hale. From Heat Race 4, Dawson Fletcher and Derek Luchacki. Also from Heat Race 5, Rafe Slate and Jeremy Adams. From Heat Race 6, Zach Braun and Garrett Strakota. From Heat Race 7, Jake Watson and Corey Rose. And Heat Race 8, Ryan Kuhn and Brandon Wilkinson. Then we headed into the B mains, which were exciting. From B main 1, Cody Griffin, Jackson Lewis, Ricky Harden, Gabe Wood, and Tyler Jordan advanced into the main event. And from B main 2, it was Nick Silver, Andrew Wooten, Joe Burchett, Eric Arnold, and Justin Egan. And now to round everything out, put a nice bow on your field, Jim George, Jason Galvin, Jacob Harperts, and Matt Shinovsky complete the field for tomorrow's 2017 American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, presented by the Championship Esports Association. Trev, had a lot of fun in qualifying night and a lot of nice short races, and we thought the LCQ was a long one. Tomorrow's 350 laps. It'll be a completely different ballgame.
It will be a different ballgame in the 25 drivers set to take this green flag tomorrow, and it's just going to be 350 laps of absolute mayhem. Only one spot gets that $500 at the end of the day, but Also, the drivers behind them will be able to get money as well, but everybody is going to be gunning for that $500. And you know, if the races today was any indication of tomorrow, it's going to be a good one.
And again, not only is it $500 to the winner, $250 to second, and $150 to third, $100 to fourth, $75 to fifth, and got payouts all the way. If you're top 10, you got at least $50. If you're top 14, you got at least $30. And even if you finish dead last tomorrow, you get a $20 bill. So everybody's going to be winner tomorrow. However, some drivers are going to be significantly bigger winners. And you always wonder, Rachel, when in these kind of races, short track racing is, you know, crazy enough as is, but back like that on the line, you wonder what the mindset's going to be at the start of those 350 laps tomorrow.
I just hope it's patient, because I think they could do with it. Otherwise, $500 will go to the car that's left at the end of 250 laps.
We know it's going to be a rough and tough one. Again, it's going to be right back here at the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is the final race 2017 right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And again, it all starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So plenty of time to tune in with us, watch the battle at the Bullring, find out who's going to be $500 richer, which is never a bad thing headed into the new year. And then, of course, go off and have your New Year's celebrations. There's time for both, and we sincerely hope that, especially if you hung out with us today, that you join us tomorrow as well. But until next time, that wraps up everything for us here tonight from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. On behalf of the entire team at Live Racing LLC, the folks behind the scenes, Laura Lawson, and everybody else who makes it happen topside night in and night out, and of course, for your team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford, Trevor Valderrama, and our producer, Cisco Scarluzza, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate all of our transferees. $500 on the line tomorrow. It's the American Pool Supply Battle at the Bullring, and we will see you at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here at LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Until then, good night.